so stubborn and moody sometimes. I'm a stay-at-home mom with a 6-month-old daughter, and because my husband travels a lot for work, I handle everything around the house. A few days ago, Thomas asked if he could host a party at our house and invite 16 plus friends. I discussed this with his dad and we said no because we have a newborn in the house and having 16 plus people all at once wasn't safe. Thomas threw a tantrum.
This is Odie. He's a 5-year-old Border Collie mix, and we see him every 8 to 10 weeks for grooming. As you can see, he is very compacted and he's still losing a lot of hair. Then I spray him down in the stuff for dogs, and I am brushing him with my All Systems Slicker brush and my Chris Christensen Coral brush. Then I clip his nails, I trim up his Grinch feet, I shave out his...
Like the one place you always wanted to smoke and you got a chance, you'll never think you would smoke there and you got a chance to smoke.
The White House.
Where?
The White House.
No, but like which room?
The
Oval?
bathroom.
Nah, Snoop.
Come on, Heather B, you know we slick with it.
What happens? Paint the picture for me and everybody, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna share this with you because you family.
All right.
So we at the White House, you understand me, for this celebration and whatnot for Herbie Hancock. So we had a little dinner, and I'm like, where the bathroom at? They're like, it's over there. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I slide over in the bathroom. I look around, check the surroundings, make sure ain't no...
Sombra and Bastion are getting completely reworked in Overwatch 2. Hack is now going to be on a 3-second cooldown and has 2 components. The old effect that turns off abilities is still there, but it's been shortened to 1 second to act more like an interrupt. The second effect is that it lasts 8 seconds and acts as a sonar wall hack that your team can see. Sombra has a new passive called Opportunist. HP and damage. For Bastion, his self-healing ability is removed and is replaced with Tactical Grenade that bounces off walls and can stick to enemies with an AoE explosion. Bastion still has 3 forms. Recon form weapon has no spread anymore but has a 50% reduced fire rate. Sentry form is now mobile but at a reduced movement speed and comes with unlimited ammo but with 40% less damage. Transforming to this only lasts 8 seconds and has a 10-second cooldown. Bastion's ultimate is now called Artillery form, which he gets to select 3 spots on the map to rain down fire. Oh, and he has a cute hat. Sombra and Bastion are getting complete.
Worst part of being a kid was not having adults take you seriously when you knew what you were talking about. What is an example of this that happened to you as a child? I once bought a game and when I opened it outside the shop it had no disc in it. I went back and they didn't believe me, so I argued with them for at least 30 minutes before they tried to kick me out, saying I was scamming them. After about an hour, they kept telling me to leave and get out of the way and trying to then ignore me. In total I got them to check the CCTV and the manager hadn't put the disc in the case. They were separate to stop thieves. Without a word, he got a copy and threw it at me and stormed off. Manager was trying to scam himself a copy on the sly. I had a birthmark that was displaying all the classic signs of skin cancer, but every time I tried telling my mom about the concerning symptoms, she brushed me off. She didn't even look. Eventually, after 3 to 4 weeks, I was taken to see a doctor and the situation then escalated very quickly. Long story short, I ended up having a cancerous tumor the size of an orange removed from the area below my birthmark. The doctor had many stern words with my mother after that and I was monitored for a while. Worst part of being a kid was not having adults take you seriously when you...
What a bitch. What a complete and total bore.
OLED Joy-Cons will drift, and I've seen some fanboys on Twitter say they can't fix the issue. Well, I'm here to tell you that they absolutely can and bring light to the issue. This right here is an OEM analog joystick from the Joy-Con. This rubber flap right here is the reason why...
broccoli, apples, pears, bananas, carrots, chicken, broccoli, apples.
Ashmaker is a unique minigun you can find in Fallout 4. Unfortunately, it is one of the worst guns in the game, and here's why. Ashmaker's legendary effect is super simple. It ignites enemies for 15 points of fire damage. You would think that legendary effect on a minigun would be incredibly overpowered, but the problem is every time a bullet hits an enemy, it reignites them, so they never truly take that 15 points of fire damage. And to make things worse, the fire damage doesn't stack, so literally every bullet reignites them for like 1 point of damage. It truly is the most wasted potential gun in the game. Ashmaker is a unique minigun you can find.
Why pay
The great Tom Holland.
$1,000 when you could just...
How they hypnotize. I don't like it. Ugh.
As fuck, tried this on my sister. Exact same lines. Got kicked out of the house. You know what else is harder than that? My love for Jesus Christ. Can I get an amen? 3 years, not a single amen. Who's the chick with the buzz cut? I said my name literally less than a minute in. Why are all your cabinet doors fucking open? I was doing the dishes. As fuck, tried this on my sister. Exact same lines. Got kicked out of the house.
I was chopping up some lantern batteries the other day to harvest the graphite rod, and it occurred to me that these casings are made out of pure zinc. What happens if I feed some zinc to the demon circuit? At first, only the air ignites, but as the zinc starts burning as well, it dramatically changes the flame color, and this is due to zinc's atomic emission.
Purple.
In fact, zinc is the only substance that has given this cursed circuit a blue flame out of everything I've tried so far. Pretty cool, right?
Pretty cool, it turns purple.
Ever said to try and win you back. If we break up, it's just a matter of time before you ask for your laptop back, and I use it for school, so I'm going to have to drop out and my kids are going to be raised in poverty. Do you really want that on your conscience?
Yep.
I lent him my extra laptop before I realized he bleeds all the women in his life dry of all their resources. I wasn't about to let him keep it after that. He put me through. I got my laptop back when we broke up and he destroyed the power cord and messed up the laptop to the point that it wouldn't run. I fixed it, but lesson learned. Darn, that's some fine crazy logic right there. At school we asked to be let out of science early one day and our teacher said no, or else he would go to prison. Why? We asked. Because if the rector sees you lot walking past during school hours he will fire me on the spot. I'll go home angry and kick the cat. Then my wife will start yelling at me and I'll hit her too. She'll call the police and I won't go down without a fight. He actually did end up letting us out early though. No, there's only one computer in the whole world, and the ex must use it or die in pop. What's the dumbest thing an ex ever said to try?
If you win this, I'll go take a snap of whatever you want.
This is how I got into a Phil game with a random streamer and balled out. On one. On two. On a third. All dead.
Oh my god, about to get the dump dude. I haven't
Kinda sick.
Yeah, at least has 8 kills with this. No way. He did. He doesn't even need.
Oh my god.
Okay. Tell me what to say to him if he wins. Like, let's make something so dramatic.
I don't know if I can buy you back.
If you win this, I'll go take a snap of whatever you want.
Hey! Bet!
I have my page, please.
Fuck at it.
I literally did so much. I can't even. Well, I am a woman of my word, so guess I'll be right back, chat.
If you win this, I'll go.
Strange. What a bunch of weird people.
I'm gonna show you. So here in Japan, recycling is a must. So in every household, at least my household, I have 4 different trash bins. I have one for my glass, pet one, my trash, as well as my cans. Yeah, I know what you guys are thinking. Well, do they even have like trash cans or something that they can just dump everything into outside? No, we don't. This is what we call a trash bin, or a trash, in our case, a trash cage. We're very lucky to have this because our neighbors don't have it. They have to sit their trash right out here on the side of the street. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
Be grateful for my mercy. Be grateful for my mercy.
What the fuck?
All right.
What the fuck?
At some point, the officer just kind of had enough, and he said, hey, you know what, I'm going to need to search your vehicle. He opens up the door and goes inside, and there's nothing out of the ordinary in the front two seats. But when he looks into the back section, where there was a sleeping compartment, because this is a big 18-wheeler, and there's like a little area in the back of the cab where these guys doing these long drives and sleep. When he looks into that section, he sees there's this woman with her mouth gagged, handcuffed, huddling in the corner of this sleeping section, absolutely terrible. The officer immediately gets out and he grabs the guy and he puts him under arrest. As he's arresting him, the driver is saying, no, she wants to be here. She chose to be here. But the officer didn't buy it. He said, you're under arrest for kidnapping. The officer puts this guy in his cruiser and shuts the door, and then he calls for backup. When backup arrived, they were able to take the woman out. She was unhurt. She survived. But it would turn out that she was one of the very, very lucky few, because the driver was Robert Rhodes, aka the truck stop killer, who over the previous 20 years had killed over 50 women. At some point, the officer just kind of had enough, and he said, hey, you know what, I'm going to need to search your vehicle. He opens up the door and goes inside, and there's nothing out of the ordinary in the front two seats. But when he looks...
Hey, Reed, I heard there was a new guy coming in today. Yeah, and he's a protein, so be cool. All right. That's him now. Come on in. T-Cells, this is Peanut. Whoa, Reed, what do you think you're doing bringing that bacteria in here? Bacteria? He's a Peanut. What's up, man? That's a filthy pathogen. Whoa, take it easy.
You want Puffy? Come on, let's get a couple puppies. Oh, here's Teen. Oh. Teen, ready? Russell. Puffy.
Autonomous.
Ooh, you want Puffy? Does Teen want Puffy? Okay. Russell, Teen, Puffy? Russell? Hey. Puffy. Come on, let's get a couple puppies.
Rust players are not going to like this video, and many Ark players probably won't like this video either. But after everyone fighting in my last video about Ark and Rust, it's time to speak. First, let me just...
Albinium Pearl Orb.
Very great games.
Medium-sized farmable crystal orb that yields an occasional harvest of albinium pearls.
The vanilla official version of the game, no mods. But if I had to do a fair side-by-side comparison of the games and everything they have to offer,
then Ark
Emerald.
definitely win. And yeah, I'm a little biased, but even if I wasn't, I'd still pick Ark. Ark was originally designed as a sci-fi dinosaur survival game.
Smash Mission.
I knew a police
Gravitino.
asked a similar question when searching for suspects. He said that the bad guys were the ones not looking up at the helicopter. Innocent people look, point, stare, etc. I thought it was funny but true, to a point. I was taking the bits out one dark night and there was a police helicopter nearby. All of a sudden they lit me up with the spotlight. I was like a deer in the headlights. And after a second or two slowly waved at them, and then after a few more seconds the spotlight moved on elsewhere. It was so awkward they must have been pissing themselves laughing. I had a similar thing happen to me when I was a YMCA counselor. Police light shined on me and I frantically dabbed multiple times and made all the kids' day. With that said, I still feel cringy for dabbing. However, I was happy to make those kids' day. The police helicopter just flew right by and went to looking for whoever it was looking for. Officers should have called SWAT if he saw you dabbing, especially around children. Shame on that. Cops, how can you tell genuinely suspicious people from self-conscious idiots acting weird? I knew a police helicopter pilot and I asked a similar question when searching for suspects. He said that the bad guys were the ones not looking up at the helicopter. Innocent people look, point, stare, etc. I thought it was funny but true, to a point. I was taking the bits out one dark night and there was a police helicopter nearby. All of a sudden they lit me up with the spotlight. I was like a deer in the headlights. And after a second or two slowly waved at them, and then after a few more seconds the spotlight moved on elsewhere.
I'm going to show you how I cook rice. It's the white girl way. It's not the Asian way.
What is white girl way?
But this is how I do it. And I'm sorry if you're offended by this, and Uncle Roger won't like this.
Oh,
but
you know Uncle Roger won't like, and you
first
still
get a pot of
so courage.
1.5 liters of water, and bring it
So
to the boil
much
and put salt in.
water.
Yes,
Water.
This is a crucial part to the end result.
Okay.
The water
You boil water without the rice
1
in.
cup of rice.
Oh no,
And
rice
you gotta,
drowning!
like,
Rice
stir it.
drowning! No!
Cartoons that look different in other countries. Firstly, in Zootopia, zoo animals have a live news broadcast show. In the US, Europe, and Russia, the hosts are a snow leopard and also a moose. But in other parts of the world, like China, the moose is replaced by a panda. But in Japan, the moose was replaced by a tanuki, which represents happiness. In New Zealand and Australia, the moose was replaced by a koala. Next, in Inside Out, the main character, Riley, refuses to eat broccoli. But in other parts of the world, like Japan, many kids actually love broccoli, so they changed the broccoli to green peppers. And green peppers are the worst to Japanese kids. Finally, in Toy Story,
I like broccoli.
Who was the Scorekeeper, goddess of the Trandoshans? The Scorekeeper was a deity worshipped by the Trandoshan people, demanding that they slaughter other beings for a place in heaven. Most Trandoshans believe that the Scorekeeper existed beyond time and space, meaning she would exist in a place similar to the world between worlds, and when Trandoshan hunters killed another intelligent being, they would receive something called a Jagannath point for every kill. The more prestigious the target that was killed, the more points the hunter would gain. Only Trandoshans who received a certain amount of points could go to the afterlife. These points were horrifically brutal, as they were awarded based on how intelligent or dangerous the creature was, making Wookiees the prime target. Failing to finish off a kill was even worse, with the Scorekeeper wiping over half of their points upon failure. The worst possible fate, however, was being captured, which would reset the Trandoshans' points to 0, blocking them from heaven. As a result, Bosk was forced to continue bounty hunting long past the usual retirement age. Check the link in the pinned comment for the full story. Who was the Scorekeeper, goddess of the
What's your actually I am the manager story? P-off customer asked for the store manager's card and when he will be in so he can complain about me for charging him a restocking fee per policy. I hand him the manager's card and tell him he will be able to speak with him the following day. I am the manager. He called. I answered. He hung up. You should have made him call you right there and then pull your ringing phone out pocket. I ran an ice cream shop. I must have had to say actually, I am the manager at least once a week. My favorite was this woman I eventually banned from the shop. She would come and or you order a large. The difference in cost is quite a bit, but it's fairly standard for companies to do it this way. I wasn't having it. She got pissy that I wouldn't do it. First she said, well, the manager let me do it last week. No, I didn't. I told her flatly, well then whoever was working let me do it, and they said they were the manager. No, they didn't. I believe my workers over you. Well, I want to talk to the manager. I am the manager. You are talking to me. I said number. Fine, and she and her little family stormed out without any ice cream. No skin off my back. She was rude to me and my workers. I wasn't going to let her treat us that way. Then she proceeds to call the shop the next day, when I am working again as the manager. I worked a lot. She said, hello, I need to speak to the manager. Speaking. How can I help you? I was in there yesterday and some little bee lied and said she was the manager, but she wouldn't let me get what I wanted. That bee was me. You're banned from our location. Don't come back. Bonus justice boner. She tried to call corporate to report me. Corporate outsources complaints to the manager with the highest rating in the area, which was me. So when she called corporate to complain about me, she also got me. I wrote up the details of the conversation and forwarded all of her messages to the district manager, and he agreed with my decision and allowed me to send her an email officially banning her from the store. So when she called corporate to complain about me, she also got me. This was my favorite part. The company is Salem Scout all the way down. I used to work in the box office for an MLB team. The actual manager was usually extremely busy and couldn't easily respond to issues at 15 different windows, so we frequently pretended to be each other's managers. It was the easiest way to get back up when an annoying customer would not accept one of our policies. On one night I was helping a very drunk customer who refused to accept a policy. I don't remember exactly what it was. He asked to speak to the manager, but he and everyone else around me were crazy busy. So I turned my back on the customer, turned back around, pretended to be a different person, and backed myself up. He accepted this without issue and went on his way. Worked in retail, specifically a specialist bra fitting shop. One day I
no hyperdrive fuel, what you mean?
Taking bookings for fittings and helping the 10 or so customers in the rooms for people who didn't need a fitting but needed me to just quickly check things sometimes and fetch different sizes, etc. It was busy, and a woman came in on the lunch rush and demanded a fitting. I politely told her that I was very sorry but all the fitters were booked and with other customers for the next hour or so I could help her a bit but can't give one attention as I'm helping all the other rooms too. So if she wants the full thing she would need to pop back tomorrow or later. She flew off the handle, telling me how busy and important she was, that she made a special trip, she can't come back tomorrow, I should help her, etc. She was really rude, aggressive and mean. I just politely repeated that I was very sorry but I couldn't help her for the reasons above, we just had no free staff. She ranted a while but then left. A few minutes after she went downstairs I got a call from one of the till girls saying a customer was complaining about the young girl on the fitting desk who refused to help her even though she could see spaces on the list, and had been rude and had been swearing at her and wanted to see the manager about it. It should be noted I was about 24 at the time, but looked really young, maybe 18. She clearly had no idea I was the manager. I told the desk girl I would be down shortly. I walked down those steps so slowly with a huge crap-eating grin to let the horrible woman slowly recognize who I was. When she saw it was me her face was just a picture. I played along asking for a description of the girl who was so rude, as that is very much outside our standards. I am shocked to hear such a thing happened. I was upstairs at the time and certainly would have intervened if I had heard such a thing, etc. Crap-eating grin on full power the whole time. She had caused such a scene that all the people in the shop were staring at us. So she either had to admit she had been lying and trying to get what she thought was some poor shop girl fired, or she had to make up a description with me obviously going to be saying things like no one here looks anything like that. Try again. She just was at a loss for words. Forget gasping for air. Bright red, not making eye contact. I forget if she said anything at all but she stood there for a long while, and just left. I have never felt such satisfaction as I did walking down those stairs knowing what was about to happen. You scare me, in a good way. I was working in the local dairy. A lady came in wanting to buy some chewing gum. She didn't have enough on her, so went to go get some more money out of her car and tried to take the gum with her. I asked her if she could leave it inside while she went and got more money. She got highly offended, asked to speak to the manager and all, and then stormed out. Later that day she called the owner of the dairy, who told her I was only doing what I was told. The next day the gum lady rang me and apologized. This is the first such story I have read on many Reddit threads where the customer actually apologizes. Close was working at a chain bookstore in the same town that the CEO lived in, and he would frequently come into our store to get things. Had a customer blowing up at me over a return and that an exception should be made, because he knows the CEO really well. They go way back. Not the first time I've heard similar things. It didn't help he got the CEO's first name wrong. I wish I could have some sort of memento from this, but the CEO was in the store that day. The CEO was in the very line for the registers. That annoying customer was holding up with demands to return something he didn't buy from us. I knew the customer was full of crap since they had the name wrong and ignored his good friend in line. So it was nice to ask why he didn't say anything to his pal. It was nice when the CEO came up to us at the registers to ask if they needed help. And it was nice to have two store managers stand there confirming that he was talking to the CEO and was caught in the lie of knowing the CEO to demand a return. I work in a hotel that is owned by the same person that owns 4 other hotels. We get the same thing at least once a week. Someone is told no and immediately responds with "Oh no, not his real name, and I am going to call him tomorrow." Once, our owner was standing in the lobby during a guest rant. He looked at the guy and said, "I don't know you. Get the frick out of my hotel." My brother and I worked as lifeguards at a little community pool. The working situation was such that I, the elder brother, was the pool manager and my brother was the only employee. Also important to note is that my brother and I look very different, so if you don't know us you may not know we are related. The incident in question happened on the busiest day of the year, with close to 50 people in pool. So while I am trying to watch all the small children in the pool, this man in his mid-30s does a flip off the diving board. So I try to express to him, politely, that we do not allow flips. Unfortunately, the man henceforth referred to as Dickhead.
Dickhead.
He didn't like my tone and starts to give me a lecture on customer service. I truly could give no less fricks about Dickhead's rant, but he is being distracting while I'm trying to keep an eye on a little girl with some questionable swimming skills. So I told him that lifeguarding is not a service industry and that I don't care about his feelings. He then began to yell about talking to my manager, so I said I am the manager. Get out of my pool. To which he responded by storming off to find the number for the manager. So Dickhead approaches my brother to try to contact the pool manager, me, and tries to wheel the other lifeguard onto his side. My brother was having none of it and gave the man my number. He eventually left, but not before making another scene, yelling about poor service and stupid butthole lifeguards. Needless to say, he was not allowed to return. I was an auto parts store manager. In that retail setting, you don't see too many female employees, and when some customers come in, female customers usually being the bigger offender, they want to talk to a male employee. In this case, I was working with another employee, a female manager, when a guy came in and started asking her questions. He clearly knew little, as he was the one asking questions. Our female manager was answering them, but the guy didn't like or believe the answers coming from her. I was at the back around the corner, but listening to the conversation. The guy said she clearly couldn't help him and he needed to talk to a man. I came out from around the corner about this time and the customer came down to the register where I was standing. He started asking me questions about parts, and I told him, that is a good question. Let me ask our expert. And I called over our female manager. Customer got all huffy and said we were running a 2-bit store and that we didn't know anything. He asked me to visit our competitor and then left. That coming from the guy asking the questions, not giving the answers. I really don't like those kind of people. Used to work head of spare parts at an auto store too. Tended to be older guys, wouldn't even give our female staff a chance. I have waited so long for this moment. On mobile and not super savvy, so I apologize for the fraud. I used to work at a Hot Topic and was the opening manager some weekday a few summers ago. This woman comes in with her 25+ YO crust punk daughter and her boyfriend to buy them some clothes. They were pretty much regulars and I knew their faces. Anyway, the shorts were on sale or something, but you couldn't mix girls' shorts with guys. I let them know that, and later when I'm ringing her out and she isn't seeing the sale applied to the shorts she got, she absolutely snaps on me. I explained calmly that I already told her that the sale couldn't be applied as it's an automatic button and I cannot physically order it. She was getting really heated and starting to yell at me. Please can you just
Ow, ouch.
The conversation was like this.
No! Ouch!
It's not that
hurt!
Me. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. It's not part of the sale, so I can't actually do that. Even if I could, I'm not going to give you a discount. You shouldn't have if you're B. Sorry. You clearly don't understand how a register works. Me. Mom. I cannot give you the sale. Either you can buy these 2 items as they are, or you can put them away. I crap you not. She actually said the following. Little girl, why don't you run into the back and get your manager so I can explain how this works to her? I almost exploded. I was so excited. I was so ready to finally do IT. So, with the most smug crap-eating smile, I simply said I am the manager. What did you need me to explain? It was the best. Haha, nice. Freaking crusties. Man, I halfway expect this crap from them most of all. Really. I was working as the shipping manager at an aluminum remelt facility. We usually ship SOs, 1200, 1800, LBL ingots basically. My department was always understaffed and I'm the biggest, fastest forklift in the department parked by my office, so I'd usually load trucks myself while my guys were trying to prepare stage loads. Truck goes through security and all that jazz. Get back to me, and the driver decides he's not gonna wait for me to get over there. He's just gonna rummage around and try to find the switches to open the gate and roll up door. Walking on random driver rummaging around my office, basically trying all the buttons like an idiot. Ask him to go sit in his truck as our insurance company doesn't allow for drivers to be out of their truck. He gets all pissy, can't back up for crap, but eventually gets to the dock kinda crooked but workable. Gets back out of the truck to help me load it. Tell him no, he needs to sit in the truck, and he starts flipping crap that he won't let some dumbass kid. I was 22. Load his truck so he can get a ticket, blah blah. I grew up with trucking, so I kind of understand his point. Tell him fine, but he needs to stay behind the giant yellow rail. So I start loading the truck with my usual pattern. I know what the load weighs and what each stack of materials I'm putting in weighs, so I'm using a pattern that will make the truck legal and symmetrical. He's bitching the whole time he don't like how I'm loading it. Tell him that if he doesn't want me to load it this way, fine. I'll stack it however the heck he wants, but I'm not going to adjust or anything after the fact. He'll have to live it. He demands to speak to my manager. Explain I am the manager. He calls me a fricking liar and calls the phone number listed for shipping manager on his paperwork. Cell phone rings in my pocket and he backs off a bit and chuckles that he thought I was just a kid. I will get the truck loaded his way, which probably had close to 40k on the drives, and he goes to our scale. That doesn't give axle weights, only growth, so he comes back and wants me to adjust a little off the drives just to be safe, which would mean unloading and reloading the whole truck. I remind him he demanded it loaded this way and I have other trucks to load, so no. He starts flipping crap again and I tell him that there's a truck scale down me about 5 miles and they can axle it, and he's kind of happy with this info and that it's close and leaves. That scale is the state dot scale.
What
Got a call
is
the next
this?
morning cause he was trying to stick us with a ticket. Didn't work, but was hilarious. That's the story in as small a nutshell as I
Runaway
I
mold.
was there almost 3 hours just bickering over every little thing and wanting things moved
What the hell is that?
on the truck. TL, DR. But whole driver demanded that the kid load his truck his way and got a ticket for it. I did flatbed for a bit. I figured the guys loading the trailers knew what they were doing and let them do their job. Never had any overweight axles. That dude deserved it. My aunt used to own a second-hand furniture store. She called it Sally Mae's Second-Hand Shop, not the real name. And Sally Mae were the middle names of her 2 daughters, my cousins. I would occasionally go over and help her clean or rearrange furniture there. One afternoon I'm watching the front and she's in the back and the phone rings, so I answer. It's this woman who sold an old armoire and is upset about the amount of money she was given for it. This was told me after the fact because I couldn't decipher crap from the banshee screech through the phone. My aunt comes back and sees my wide-eyed teenage face and takes the shrieking receiver from me. My aunt handles the call and I can hear all of it. She explains that the armoire was only worth about $200, not $1K, because it was made of plywood and severely damaged, not cherry and walnut and in prime condition. Banshee isn't having any of it and demands to speak to Sally Mae. Who's Sally Mae? It's her shop, isn't it? I want to talk to her. You're being rude. My aunt laughs, explains that she owns the store and that Sally Mae was just a name that she liked. I told the woman to never contact her for business again and hung up. Kind of different, but at my work, we don't have to wear the uniform. We could just wear our regular clothes. Also, I am an assistant to the owner of this place. Let's just say it's a local cafe. So I work on the laptop a lot answering emails and things like that. Mind you, I am of legal age but look really young. Pre-teenage. One day, a customer came in with her kids while I was working.
It just has a bunch of planetary anomalies.
With her kids while I was working on the laptop at one of the tables. Her son looked to be around
What is
or something. Came up to me and to be friendly, I stopped working and said, "Hey bud, wanna go look at the food on display and you can pick out what you want?" The mom was smiling the whole time as I showed him the food on display and she kept telling me, "I am so sorry for him bothering you. You look so busy with your homework. Do you go to insert name of junior high school a few minutes away?" I told the lady I was actually an employee there and that I was actually assistant to the manager. But she apologized profusely for thinking I was younger and interrupting my work and gave me a tip for being nice to her son, LOL. Nicest story here. I love it.
Inescapable toxins, regular.
It was a small place with 2 registers up front and the manager had one at the service video rental counter. There were a number of times where I'd be covering a register for someone's break and get an unruly customer who demanded a manager. I'd tell them I would call the manager over to the counter for them. I'd walk right over with them, open the locked door to the office, and come out to the counter with a crap-eating grin and "How can I help you today?" I had a guy shove me and get in my face in a bar and tell me I better call security before he kicked my butt. Unzipped my jacket to reveal a logo with the name of the bar we were in. Promptly barreled him out the front door and said, "Okay, I got him." He spent the next 20 minutes begging me to be let back inside. I've got a great one. Used to work in a convenience store during college. This convenience store didn't have the classiest of clientele. One day this lady comes in and wants some cigarettes that we were out of. They were the cheap brand and so she goes on to say, "Well, if you're out of those the manager lets her have the premium brands for the same price." I laugh right into her face and say, "Do you want them or not? They're gonna be the price they are." She gets upset, goes on this tirade and tells me to call the manager. At this point, I was tired of her but I fancy her request. So I say, "Okay, I'll do it." I pick up the store phone, call my own cell phone, let my cell phone ring for a few seconds, then answer my cell phone while still on the store phone and say, "Hey, there's this lady here and wants to speak to the manager." The mad, then confused, then sad, then mad again face she made was the greatest of all comebacks I've probably ever come up with in my life. It was great. I'm happy I came far enough down to find this story, but I'm also appalled that I had to come down this far to find a story of someone speaking to themselves on 2 phones. It's so satisfying. This girl has worked in a restaurant I manage for a month and a half and she is absolutely incompetent. I walked into a completely dirty kitchen and this girl is on her phone texting mid-shift. When I told her she wasn't allowed on her phone, she responds, "You're not the boss of me." People who've quit their jobs on short notice out of spite. What was the final nail in the coffin? I walked straight out of my job at DQ. She told us not to go to a place that was on our own. It was a bad area. We told her we wouldn't. Of course, we did anyway and surprise. Not a single problem at all. Can't have any alcohol. He sneaks it in anyway. Has to leave the door to his room open. And no bad language. In all honesty, she treats him like... Let him save them. And by now and she's insanity turned to 11. I've known this guy since high school. It took 4 years before I was allowed to go into his house because his grandma didn't like the fact I have long hair. She didn't want a hippie in the house. When he did leave the house, she would call around 8-9 p.m. and ask when he's going to be home. Well, I use ask loosely. It was more like pestering him that he needs to get home. She continues to call every 30 minutes or so. There's been no repercussions from him completely ignoring this though. When she goes out of the house, he has to go with her. I understand she may have a fear of going out alone, and that's probably bolstered a bit by her watching of Fox News, but they live in a very, very low crime area. There's been one shooting in the last decade, no muggings, armed robberies of people, and the only thing the cops really have to respond to are people stealing from Walmart. His car got totaled 2 years ago. He still doesn't have another one because she won't let him save the money to get another one. He always has to pay vast majority of bills and rent, despite her being fully able to pay her share.
Where is New Genesis?
He can't just refuse because she'll eventually kick him out, and that threat holds more weight now since he doesn't have a car. He's using hers to go back and forth to work. Several years back we went on vacation and she told us not to go to a place that was on our agenda because it was a bad area. We told her we wouldn't. Of course, we did anyway and surprise. Not a single problem at all. Can't have any alcohol. He sneaks it in anyway. Has to leave the door to his room open. And no bad language. In all honesty, she treats him like a 12-year-old. He's in his upper 20s. He needs to grow a set and move the frick out. One of my friends
ASAP.
He has to call his parents every single day.
Well, this is certainly an anomaly that shouldn't exist.
Will send him onto a guilt trip. To date, he always has to ask parents before deciding on smallest of things.
Smallest of things.
Now. My sister was by far the worst I've ever met. She was a typical crappy teenager in high school. Doing the whole I'm 17, I'm grown, you can't tell me what to do thing, including drinking.
I would not drink a drop of alcohol
because I have
because
any problem with, but probably aren't a good.
I mean, I like a good
ability to deal with them.
little sip of whiskey.
By a dude who bailed on her and she took about 1.5 tons off.
God, I want that. I mean, it even has like a car engine.
Problem is, she swung too far back in the other direction and became a super fundamentalist Christian and chalked her getting knocked up by a transient Mexican farm worker and literally everything else to God's plan. After my nephew was born, things didn't start to get bad until he was around 7 or 8 and developed his own personality. She started forcing him to go to church and catechism against his wishes. She also severely restricted the information and media he was allowed access to. Books were restricted solely to the Bible and other religious texts, and educational books so long as they didn't contradict scripture in any way. She refused to allow him to have friends unless she'd vetted them and ensured they came from a good Christian family. Until he
Are you kidding me?
The only television he was allowed to watch was Disney Channel and CNN. She put parental block on everything else. He wasn't allowed to see movies rated above PG or get his driver's license until he was 18, and she couldn't really stop him anymore. Video games were wiped out of the question. The end result of his sheltered upbringing was that, as soon as he was a legal adult, he began to rebel against everything she'd ever imposed on him in whatever way he could find. He started drinking and doing drugs, stopped going to church or any of the religious studies groups she made him go to, and fell in with a group of guys who got him in a fair amount of trouble. Thankfully he's calmed down recently, in his early 20s. He's in college now, still drinks and smokes weed, but not nearly as much as he used to, and, to my knowledge, hasn't committed a crime in a few years. My parents had software on the
See, that's what happens when you're an overprotective
my
parent.
mother would ever type into it and send it in a daily email. When I found out in high school, I felt violated and upset, and that is exactly when I stopped talking to my parents about relationships. I had a boyfriend at the time, and my mother read all of our AIM messages. Great. I lost a lot of trust in them for keeping that from me. It still disgusts me. My parents were always very overprotective, but this one just felt so invasive. My grandmother was very strict with my mother and aunts. What they ate and wore and who they spoke to. They weren't allowed sleepovers or sweets, or to have an opinion about anything. They were constantly punished for normal little kid behavior, having nightmares, wanting to dance, having friends, until it twisted them all up. They were looking forward to college, as they were excellent students, so they could finally get away and live normal lives. My mother was told she was too immature for college and had to stay home and go to community college, even though she got a full scholarship to a 4-year school not far. So she ran away, 3,000 miles away, and went nuts. She never went back home no matter how difficult things got, because she didn't want grandma to break our spirits. 2. My cousin hand-feed her son until he was 4. He was placed in a high chair and she fed him with a spoon. I was shocked and asked why. She told me that he made a mess on the floor when he fed himself. WTF. Of course he did. My kids started feeding themselves the day they ate solid food. Fine motor control is not an accident and must be practiced. I also had crayons and paper on my coffee table for 10 years. Sheesh. Side note, her son is super creepy. Long story, but I would not leave a female alone around him. Nothing concrete, but big on the creepy vibes. We have time.
What'd you say?
Control is not an accident and must be practiced. I also had crayons and paper on my coffee table for 10 years. Sheesh. Side note, her son is super creepy. Long story, but I would not leave a female alone around him. Nothing concrete, but big on the creepy vibes. We have time. My girlfriend just went to college in a nearby city.
I don't like that.
Make her take pictures of where she is to prove that she's being good. If she studies with a guy, they call her a yes. Last night she didn't respond to the text telling her to send a picture because she was asleep. So her parents activated the GPS tracker on her phone to find out where she was. She was sleeping in another dorm because it was closer to where she was at the time. They threatened to pull her out of school and make her go to community college so that they can keep a closer eye on her. Every time she sends them a picture of where she is. If it's not in her dorm or a classroom, they call her the SO college. She thought going to college was going to be the end of their crap. Sorry, half venting, half response. I would tell them to frick off. Go get a student loan. Part-time job and be done. I'm paying student loans. Lot better than that mental abuse. There was a girl in my town who ended up getting a restraining order against her mother. The mother would make some sort of excuse to get into the daughter's high school, lie about her daughter having a learning disability, then sit next to her in class and make sure she wasn't talking to anyone during class or at lunch.
God.
And do things like emptying the girl's book bag and search through her things in the middle of the school. As far as I know, the girl ended up living a fairly normal life afterwards, but her mother definitely made her have some major social anxiety issues. Stop. Do not fall into the Reddit coma. I have been trapped in this thread for 3 hours, and only have the willpower to leave now because I have to use a bathroom. Don't read further, or you will be sucked into the lives of others that are truly fricked up. My ex and I were in college, and we both still lived with our parents. We went to school locally, and she was 19. I was 21 at the time, and they were so overprotective, and they mistrusted her so much by default, that when she started middle school, every night, they would shove chairs and 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 chairs. They started doing this without her showing any inclination to sneaking out or sneaking people in the
hell, man.
And they continued to do it well into her college years and FBSB. Needless to say, crap got weird and incredibly frustrating. Back in high school, my friend and I would regularly hang out at his place to play video games and what have you. He had a younger brother who was in middle school at the time and also had a friend come over regularly. This friend of his was the product of a super religious, super strict, single mom. When he would come over we had to hide away anything he thought his mom wouldn't want him to see or hear. It was a huge list of things, but one of the strangest things was anime. My friend's brother was an anime fan and had mangas and posters, so when he would come over he had to take them down. A pretty funny moment with him was when my friend and I were playing the first Ninja Gaiden for the OG Xbox. He came in with his hands over his eyes and asked us to pause the game so he could get something. We obliged and waited for him to find what he was looking for and leave. But just before he left the room, I unpaused a little too early and he witnessed Raya cut a guy in half and a fountain of blood shoot out of him. He screamed and ran out of the room. I actually still kinda keep in contact with him. He is a lot better these days. I remember talking to him about how he was like when he was still in middle school. He told me that he was so scared of his mom. He literally thought his mom could read his thoughts. That's why he was too scared to hide behind her.
My mom can read my thoughts! Oh, I hope not. I hope no one ever gets the mutant power to be able to read minds.
During weekends, his parents sent him to tons and tons of academic and non-academic courses. When we played on the street, we sometimes hear him screaming in his house when he's alone. His parents only allow he'll be locked inside with his housemaid while...
What?
I remember talking to him about how he was like when he was still in middle school. He told me that he was so scared of his mom. He literally thought his mom could read his thoughts. That's why he was too scared to do anything.
I can't land!
A guy right next door has an overprotective mother. During weekdays he'll be locked inside with his housemaid while both parents work. He's an only child, so he only socialized with other people at school. During weekends, his parents sent him to tons and tons of academic and non-academic courses. When we played on the street, we sometimes hear him screaming in his house when he's alone. His parents only allowed him to play with an equally academically accomplished kid next door. These two had very limited contact with other kids.
Isn't that,
a student
child abuse?
I honestly felt terrible about it, but I took the job so I could be sure to take it easy on him. Freaking 15-year-old boy whose mother had him meeting with 4 tutors 3 times a week to pre-teach him his sophomore year curriculum so he could, and I quote, boost our GPA so we can get into Stanford. B. What's this week crap? You're learning to speak French. My aunt and uncle are Chabad Jews, very religious sect. They are so afraid of their children learning about the world and assimilating that they won't let them learn French. My aunt and uncle are Chabad Jews, very religious sect. They are so afraid of their children learning about the world and assimilating that they won't let them wear shirts with animals on them that are not kosher. Example, a lion. When I was a senior in high school I passed out candy on Halloween when my mom's friend brought her kids over. She had a glass of wine with my mom while her 2 kids waited impatiently to go back out trick-or-treating. After about 45 minutes and the kids constantly begging to ransack the rest of our very nice rich neighborhood, their mom agreed to let them go out by themselves while she finished her wine as long as they took a cell phone, stayed on our side of the street, and could be back in 20 minutes. This wouldn't...
Now that's pretty.
It's once 15 and 17-year-old teenagers and not mentally or physically impaired in any way. TL. DR. Kids not allowed to cross the street or trick or treat by themselves. A friend of mine freshman year of college was pre-med. Toward the end of the year, he got a job for sophomore year as an RA, which gave free room and board, pay, and a limited but complimentary meal plan. The last day of finals, his parents found out he made a B in organic chem, the only B he got all year. His mom promptly called the housing and residence office and told them that his grades were suffering too much to become an RA and that she were turning down the job for him because he clearly couldn't prioritize correctly. Another friend told me that whoever answered the phone told it was none of her business and she was causing more harm than good for her son. As far as I know, he was an RA for the rest of undergrad. A girl I dated in high school wasn't allowed to drive a car that was of natural color, meaning no black, white, blue, green, or tan. Had to be a color that stood out against the road and surroundings. Her mom was afraid the car would blend in with the road and she'd be killed. This is completely honest. When Chernobyl reactor tragedy happened in Russia, my mom came out screaming, "The radiation is coming, get inside." Happened to have all my friends over at the time. I was like 12. I live in South Carolina. This is somewhat common, but all the same I think is psycho overprotective parenting. Purity rings and those dances that fathers and daughters go together called purity balls. I'm not making this up. My daughter is in middle school. She made friends with a girl whose mother has to join in on every activity. When the girls went to a classmate's 13th birthday party together, the mom attended it as well. Fine, right? It was a sleepover. A group of girls at the birthday girl's house, and the mom. In case I haven't explained correctly, yes, this mom attended sleepovers with her daughter at other kids' houses. My daughter and this girl got close last year. I have done everything in my power to avoid meeting this mom. The most recent time, the girls wanted to go to the mall together, which meant I would have to follow the girls with the mom like 4 feet behind the girls at all times. I really am not down for that. It creeps me out tremendously. I already said so.
Tell her to piss off. What the fuck are you doing?
I still have a good answer, and sweet karma, am I right? Anyway, there was this family of 2 parents and 4 kids. Protective help.
Don't mind if I do.
Was a very strict conservative Christian. Their dad wasn't the same way, but he pretty much allowed her to be strict like she was. She wouldn't let her kids do things that most normal kids were allowed to do, like eat any food that wasn't organic and wholesome. She believed that GMO and HCF caused bad problems later in life. She also hated microwaves and wouldn't let her kids use them. Watch anything with any hint of the supernatural that didn't have to do with God. So that meant no Disney princesses, no Star Wars, no Harry Potter, no Lord of the Rings.
Well,
no
but Star Wars is not about the supernatural. It's about your blood containing a thing that makes you be able to heighten the mind and be able to use telekinesis and levitation. But it's only because of that object having the same amount of metachlorians as your blood. So it's not magic.
Pagan holidays.
It's kind of like magic, but not magic.
Anything. My friend from that family had a GamerCube with a few games on it. He used to have Super Smash Bros. Melee, but his mom took Smash Bros. Because it was too violent for him. I feel sorry for her kids. I know the oldest boy is going to be far from the perfect kid his mom wants him to be, and the girls will probably follow suit. I know when I have kids, I will not be the same way. That's just asking for the kid to do a complete 180 when he grows up. A lot of sheltered kids dive right into what they weren't allowed to do, and end up going overboard with alcohol, drugs, partying, etc. GF of a high school friend of mine had crazy religious parents. They raised their daughter with traditional family values. No sex before marriage, no drinking. Abortion is a crime. Contraception is the same thing as abortion. Only trouble is, she grew up anti-contraception. She ended up having sex with her boyfriend, convinced that faith would stop her getting pregnant. She got pregnant.
Stupid dumbass.
Jesus jerking co-workers found a 2 inches x 2 inches folded scrap of printed softcore P in their 13-year-old son's Velcro wallet. Removed every door in the house from its hinges. Them all in the garage. So he wouldn't have any privacy to sin. Kid committed suicide at 20.
Damn.
Moved every door in the house from its hinges, and stored them all in the garage, so he wouldn't have any privacy to sin. Kid committed suicide at 20.
That's fucked,
Parents
dude.
showing up to job interviews with their son-daughter. I don't mean they dropped them off for the interview, or something. They insisted on sitting in on the interview, and even called us back to follow up on their kid's interview. This is how you doom your kids' employment prospects. But then again, maybe this is what they're trying to do. Can't let those kids become too independent. Now can we? One of my friends is 22 years old. He bought new shoes and was going to come hang out with me, but his mom wouldn't let him go out because she didn't want him to ruin his new shoes. My best friend is Korean and his parents were super strict and traditional. He had to work in finance, law, healthcare, and had to marry a Korean girl that fit prototypical mold of a Korean housewife. Naturally, he resisted and ended up meeting a girl OkCupid. an adorable white girl from Minnesota that worked as a flight attendant. Rewinding a little, his parents helped him put a down payment on a condo with the condition that they get to have a set of keys to show up and help him do housework and whatnot. Back to the present. He continued seeing this girl, who flew to NY as often as she could. A couple of times he had her over. His parents showed up unannounced. They were called when they were blocks away, and she hid in the closet for hours on end. One night, his mom showed up completely unannounced. No phone call, and she saw the white girl in the apartment. My friend just told the truth, and his mom, a religious Christian, started bursting in tears and fell onto her knees and started to pray in semi-tongue, saying things like "remove the devil from my son" and blah blah. Before she left, she ordered him to break up with her. I met up with both of them and they were visibly angry and distraught, and lots of drinks were had. A few hours later they were just gonna head home. But while he was out with me, his sister had been calling him with warnings that his mom and now his dad were waiting for him at the apartment. Of course, he didn't get any of the messages because his phone had died. They arrive at the apartment in total shock, and almost instantly the dad orders my friend's sister to take her away and send her to a hotel. My friend and the girl were both drunk, but sobering up, and she started bursting into tears saying "I love you," holding her arms out toward him while being dragged out by the sister. The next morning I saw my phone had about 10 voicemails, all from the girl. She was hysterical, saying things like "what do I do?" 10 seconds of silence, "I love him," and then things like AHHH and so on. I knew someone in high school whose mom preferred him to masturbate to her naked body instead of pee.
Oh!
He feared pee would warp his sense of reality.
Oh! Oh, what?
A grocery store checker when a mother and her 5
No.
standing upright in the grocery cart.
No.
Or addressing her daughter directly.
No, that is not what you do. That's not how you parent. Did you know that?
Computers, laptops. Many for students. There's some really psycho spy software out there, which parents use to control basically everything on a child's computer. Stuff like microphone, webcam, key logs, browsing history, GPS location. When I found a software like this on my cousin's laptop, it was time for the old switcheroo. I removed the software and gave him a USB stick with instructions on how to set it up on his parents' PC, which he did. So now he can watch over his parents to make sure they don't get on any inappropriate websites or start talking to strangers. Caring about how he raises his parents. Also, I will be his coolest cousin for a lifetime. My friend is a professor.
Technology overload.
Students' mom call him about how if her son couldn't get into his course this semester it would ruin his future because, insert Luong email here. Again, this is a graduate student, not even bachelor's. How? Why? How? Who? Ugh. No one will read this, but growing up in my incredibly boring suburban Atlanta neighborhood, there was a family 2 houses down that had like 6 kids, all around my age. They were rarely outside, and when they were, the mother or father had to be watching them, and they were not allowed to leave the yard, or even play with other children. If anyone, and I mean anyone, was walking on the sidewalk outside when they were playing, all of them were forced inside until the person passed by. As far as I know, the only time they left the house was to go to church, since they were all homeschooled. To this day, I don't support homeschooling. No offense to anyone out there, largely due to how socially inept one of the kids was. A girl, who turned out to be crazy cute, that I attempted to make conversation with many times. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Teachers, when did karmic justice finally come to that one troublesome student? Had a kid who was a real douche nozzle when I taught 5th. This kid, let's call him Ray,
a douche
one of those moms who refused to hold him accountable for anything. It was always, some other kid did it. Ray was just protecting himself. Ray just wanted to fit in. Ray was being targeted. Also, she was one of those kids who would ask Ray if you were guilty, and take it as incontestable truth. Say, my son doesn't lie to me. Oh really? Your kid doesn't lie? Your kid and Jesus? I had a full caseload as a special ed teacher, so I got a paraprofessional. Call him Steve. Ray hated Steve. Had some kind of issue with male authority figures. One day Ray gets in trouble coming back from recess. Steve reprimanded him verbally. By the time Ray makes it to the classroom, he's saying how Steve got in his face and shouted at him. No. He asked to go talk to the principal. Yay. He's gone for at least 5 minutes. Tells the principal how Steve grabbed his arm. When Mom comes and gets him, now he's saying Steve pushed him. Next day we get a phone call. Ray's mom and grandma are coming in and want a meeting with Steve and the principal to discuss how Steve choked Ray. Steve's freaking out. Other kids were there, but no adults. No cameras. How can he prove his innocence? I tell him, go to the meeting and before anybody says anything, have Ray share what happened. Steve came back smiling. As soon as one story came out, everybody else is disagreeing. Well, Ray told me, but Ray told me. I would have loved to see the mom's face as her kid is proven a liar in front of everyone. Had a kid that threw a lock at my head not get expelled because it just slipped out of her hand. She got expelled a few...
A way of high energy plasma.
Months later for bringing a weapon to school. Have another one. We had these two kids, brother-sister combo, with fabulous names. Let's call them Princess and Major. Actually not bad kids, just a little lazy, but the parents were the laziest frigs. Did anything to not work, just sit around and exist. I'm surprised they had the motivation to get off their asses and procreate. Twice. Anyway, there was always some excuse why homework wasn't done. And this was 4th grade, in a city, so homework was crap like reading a little booklet to your folks, or practicing multiplication facts. The kids also missed school all the time. The kids were honest. Mommy didn't want to wake up and get us ready for the bus. Daddy was up late with his friends, so we report them to truancy. They turn around and find some lawyer to sue the school for their kids' underachievement. If the teachers were doing their jobs, these precious children would be pre-med students by now. Luckily we kept really good records. The law... their kids' underachievement. If the teachers were doing their jobs, these precious children would be pre-med students by now. Luckily we kept really good records. The lawyer shows up, the principal, superintendent, truancy officer, our lawyer. Their lawyer starts in. Our principal breaks in, holds up his hand, asks the truancy officer, how many days have these children missed? Ends up they'd missed enough days in the last... We're supposed to deliver a quality education to your children if you don't get them to school. Their lawyer quietly packed up her crap and left. Not too lazy to get a lawyer. Wow. I interned in a class with this kid who always thought he was smarter than everyone else. He was pretty smart, but not by too much. He always got paired with kids not as smart as him, so he would always be really smug when dealing with them. We learned he got that from his parents. During a parent
I used to be that kid.
His parents
not anymore.
down and thought he
I think I'm not as smart as I used to be. So that is sad. But still smart enough.
built him up as that and they got him thinking that too. Then they went off on my mentor teacher. She wasn't providing him with higher enough education. She was
Put him in honors.
She was
I was put in honors and I did just fine.
My mentor teacher left the room crying after the verbal.
Put him in honors.
Well, about a week later, there was an event where parents came to watch their children in class. It was
Ooh, hello, friend. Do you have units or nanites to buy? Please enjoy pleasurable trade.
Class. The one who was working on more advanced classes. His parents were so flustered during the event. They were very visibly nervous and upset looking as this kid got destroyed game after game. They left before it was all done, crying after the verbal lashing. Well, about a week later, there was an event where parents came to watch their children in class. It was to watch them do math games with other students. Well, my mentor teacher paired this smug little bastard with the actual smartest kid in class. The one who was working on more advanced classes after school. The kid got shamed. His parents were so flustered during the event. They were very
just watching him getting destroyed.
Destroyed game after game. They left before it was all done and took him out of school for the rest of the day. Delicious. I coached middle school.
I have an IQ of 140, and yet I'm not as smart as I want to be. What says you?
Some kids have come out of their shell by then, others have not. But at least most of the early bloomers were jerks to make life heck for everybody. The team's starting halfback was one of those jerks. He gave a defensive lineman heck, and since everybody thought he was cool, they gave him heck right along with him. The D lineman was a big guy but not aggressive or outgoing. Still just in his shell really. He did fine out there because he was a big guy but hardly played to his potential. The little running backs took their Napoleon complexes out on the big guy by running by him and shouting P every time he failed to stop them. Rather than fight back to make the play, he would just ignore it and line up and try again the next play. One day the whole thing just clicked for the big guy and he started making plays. He learned to get off his blockers and form tackle and attack the ball carrier. It was a cool thing to see. He loved it. When he really started getting into a groove, I started running the jerk halfback right at the blooming D lineman and watched him plant that guy in the ground with a thud every time. It was just getting easier as I made sure they ran the same play at him play after play. Soon,
delicious.
The jerk halfback asked, how many times are you going to run this play, and I responded, once for every time you called him a P. I totally played this in my head like a scene from Little Giants. Disney Gold, baby. Except for the P part. We're going to have to change that for sissy or something. First grade here.
Delicious!
Kids with basketballs. He'd run up and pop the ball right at students. Sometimes he'd toss it real fast and say catch, but most often he'd just throw it at children on the playground who were completely unaware. This kid was trying to knock other children down. He'd laugh his butt off if he saw someone stumble or fall after they were hit by his basketball. After talking with his parents, we told them we'd be taking the balls away from him until after spring break, to see if his behavior improved. As promised, he was allowed to play basketball again after break, but we warned he better behave. It didn't take even 5 minutes before he stalked and shot that Spalding special at this poor little girl, knocking her down. She cried and pointed at him, mulch dangling from her hair. He's mean, Miss. Misty, I agreed, and told her he'd have the basketballs taken away for the rest of the school year. As I got up and walked his way, he started to bolt. He ran out of the playground, past the sand pit, and onto the basketball court. He maintained eye contact with me, and before I could take another step, a stray ball from a 5th grade game hit the edge of the backboard, bounced off, and hit that little crap square in the face. Like a sack of potatoes. Of course I ran over to him and made sure he was okay. He may be acting like a little crap. He's still just a child. I called for the nurse since he was out cold. He woke up with me above him and started crying, saying he'd never do it again. Please. I'm so sorry. I won't do it again. I'll have to wait and see this coming year if Karma kicked his butt or not, because he didn't want to pick up another basketball the rest of the school year. He may think you are a wizard that can control basketballs. Encourage this. A ton of stories, but this is the only one that made me laugh, cause I am a horrible person. I had a 5th grader who looked like a white version of Cleveland Brown Jr., right down to the hanging cheeks and no neck. This kid was a know-it-all menace. He'd interrupt me, do that weird Rihanna hand twirl, and say, we'll actually miss ice, and then state
well, actually, okay.
Lunch duty. I see that his lunch every day is a can of soda, a bag of chips, and tons of candy.
Jesus.
The bag is busting at the seams.
Like a glutton.
Principal, because I'm worried that his grandmother, who was raising him, wasn't feeding him properly. The principal calls the grandma and grandma gets angry. She was letting him pack his own lunch and wasn't checking it. So she's embarrassed that we've called her on it. She tells us that she will only pack healthy food now. She then tells us that the kid's doctor said he needs a serious diet. She tells us that he cannot have any candy. Cut to a week later. The kid is still being a little crap and pisses off another student. Student runs to principal and says that the kid has been sneaking candy to school every day. The principal goes to talk to him. The kid shoves a chocolate bar into his mouth and the principal takes away the blow pop sucker he has. This kid proceeds to roll around on his belly across the entire hallway, screeching and crying so hard that he's choking on the half-chewed chocolate bar. Chocolate spittle and tears everywhere. A kindergarten student walks by and says, "You look like a baby." The kid stops swallowing long enough to punch the little student. He got suspended for violence and I got a peaceful classroom. I feel like you've hit some type of rock bottom if a person who was an actual baby less than 4 years ago calls you a baby. Freshman English. Busted a kid for plagiarism. He was furious and refused to drop the course. I gave him a second chance, and he continued to plagiarize. He was a slimy.
Who the hell was...
Thought I was just a dumb, clueless Tay. Good joke's on him. He ended up failing the course 3 ways. Plagiarizing, exceeding absences, and failing to turn in a complete...
Exceeding!
Can argue about one way to get an F.
I don't even know how to plagiarize, so...
Not a teacher, but one time...
Don't you like go on like Google Docs or something and like copy paste, I think?
Bit himself on the wrist, hard, and ran to the teacher and blamed me. That little C. They sent me to the principal's office. My mom was called down. I got yelled and cried. A week later, the kid did it again, and the teacher saw him do it. Felt so good to have the principal apologizing profusely to me, while that little shithead got a mouthful from his parents. My brother used to do this to get me in trouble. I knew I was going to get in trouble and couldn't prove it wasn't me, so I did it. A lot harder than he did to himself.
Really?
He quit. I teach college.
Bet he never did that again.
My first year doing this, I had a student who was always late, turned in the bare minimum of work, always had excuses. I told him he had to improve because if he did this on the job, he'd get fired. He kept coasting and the other profs let him get by. First teaching job, he got fired. I laughed, in the privacy of my office, and I'm not sorry. I was teaching music. I had a flautist who was fantastic. He practiced 4 hours every day and wanted to be the next James Galway, guy who does the Fruity Shire theme in The Lord of the Rings. Unfortunately, he had an ego the size of Texas. He told the girl next to him, who also wanted to be a professional flutist, that she was abysmal and should just go kill herself. He refused to audition for...
Did you know that Texas is bigger than some countries? I'm not actually sure if that fact is correct, but it ought to be. Just well, maybe like a small country in Africa, maybe. But like, Africa is bigger than most, like all the continents, so that is still yet to be seen. Yeah, world map different. Should I? Stop it! No filter. These are yellow suns. Ego, the living planet.
For our local honor band, which was part of his grade, because he refused to lower himself to playing with such talentless musicians.
God.
He would be about my conducting in class when I wouldn't cue him because I was too busy cueing the low brass who needed help with their entrances, aka teaching. He refused to play a theme from a popular video game at a concert, something that we play to get people to attend because we need that money to keep the program going. It was apparently not artistic enough. I refused to show up to a concert because...
Play, what was that thing up then? It was, the lost city of, it was, I cannot remember.
So he failed band and I kicked that toxic little crap out. But he was talented and he wanted to be a flutist, so he auditioned for Juilliard and made it in. This sucker quits before the first semester is over because he believed he was more talented than his teachers. Attended a symphony gig in a very well-known group thanks to a blind audition where he wasn't permitted to talk and revealed how much of a douchebag he was. That lasted 2 weeks before he dissed the very famous conductors conducting and got his butt fired. His career is dead because he couldn't keep his ego in check, and I find it immensely satisfying. Dang, he just flew straight into the...
Man literally self-combusted.
Just a pain.
He's just like, yeah, thanks for the bow. Shut up!
Throw things around the classroom, pinch other children.
Don't not fucking
pencils. He was rude to everyone and
what an absolute sociopath.
talking to his parents wouldn't help because they believed everything he said. Even over adults who had actually witnessed him doing it. They would give excuses and say that other children were believing him while he was being picked on. There was nothing wrong with this child other than he had been brought up with no consequences in his life. Anyway, one break time.
I think the anger made me brag.
I guess they just had enough, and this usually mild-mannered child just punched him in the stomach, causing the horrible child to wet himself. When following the indecent up, all of the other children who witnessed it, around 5 or 6, completely closed ranks and denied that it ever happened. I can't usually condone when children hit back. It causes so many other problems. But you better believe all the adults that have had to deal with this child were rooting for the hitter. I teach kindergarten, and
I didn't see no violence.
A child in my class last year.
Oh, what a nice
shit. He pulled his desk away from the girl sitting across from him so her pencils and crayons would go falling on the floor. Finally, one day she got fed up and slammed her desk back into his. Unfortunately for him, his fingers happened to be there. I had to resist the urge to be like, that's what you get, but instead I just reminded him that that's why I said not to move his desk away from the rest of the table and sent him to the nurse. Oh crap, I know how bad that hurts. Good for you for not punishing the girl for dishing out some karma.
I really want that. It has so much space.
She gave extra homework to everyone in the
too
class
bad.
except the troublesome kid and made all the students write thanks for the extra homework. Nay. Somehow he stopped believing he was cool after that. Straight from the drill sergeant's playbook. That one. I was in pre-K in the early 80s at a private Catholic school. This one kid, Amit, would always bite the other kids. I don't remember exactly how it.
Wow, I just got completely scammed. Are you kidding me?
Really bad bite mark or something, and my mom was P. She took me straight to the superintendent.
Yo!
Not the principal. And
Bro, y'all should.
The superintendent, a really old nun, did not put up with that crap. Called Amy into her office and bit the frick out of her arm. Amy started crying, but she never bit anyone again. Old nuns in the 80s were hardcore. Note, I am not saying what happened was right, just that it happened. I taught a comparative anatomy animal dissection lab section back in college.
Did you know that human bites are some of the most... I don't actually believe that, though. I mean, yeah, we probably have, like, tons and tons of bacteria in our mouth, but still, like... You got those who can secrete venom with their bites, so...
Some just dove in with a scalpel, dicing and chopping and generally mutilating most of the internal organs. His first karmic warning came when we were dissecting squid, and he got squid juice on himself. Smelled awful for the rest of that class. However, he kept on ignoring instructions and hacking away. And this time, karmic justice struck on our very last dissection project, the fetal pig. Kevin really wanted to see the pig's brain. Kevin couldn't get through the skull, so he started whacking away at it with the butt of a flat pry knife. I told him to stop, but he had to give it one last mighty thwack. Crack the skull breaks, and rubbery piddly brain bits come flying out. Mostly over Kevin, splattering him. Unfortunately, while protesting my refusal to let him dice this piglet into pancetta cubes, Kevin had his mouth open. Thankfully, preserved pig brain, ingested orally, seemed to have a calming, subduing effect on Kevin for the last couple classes. Yeah. Don't jerk into sections unless you're willing to swallow.
Yo!
Can only be one. TL. DR.
I do not want navigation data, but whatever.
An F in my class, and that's not the worst of his problems. I once taught a grade 11 history class where I had one kid who caused me a lot of grief. He was frequently late, walking in 20-30 minutes late. Class was during C slot. He had a spare during B, and would actually take the bus home after his A class, and simply stay home for an hour, or just not show up at all. Additionally, he was super passive-aggressive, rarely handed anything in, and obsessed himself with spending time on his super expensive smartwatch and or phone, which is also somewhat more of a big deal.
2000 range, perfect. 2002, approximate. I think it said that, right?
Anyway,
yeah, no, 2005. My birth date.
And he doesn't bother to do any of the group work. I wait projects 50/50 personally. Show up for the entire week of presentations.
I think I got enough modules for this baby. This is my exploration Ding.
Suffice to say, I gave him the only 0 in the class. So of course he hasn't learned, and his grades are below failing mark. Test on the last unit before the exam is coming up, and I give the students the option to write a unit test and replace their lowest test grade with it. Obviously every kid takes the chance. He saunters in late.
Oh my god, who?
He just said no.
You dare
Played on his phone.
try that on me?
Whatever.
I'll have you know that I'm not going to sell you a that's worth the price, even if I am unsure of what exactly.
I only had one class with him, but
You
that
gave me
class is
my-
where the story happened. It was 11th grade geography, and our teacher was one of the nicer teachers I can remember. Brandon would always push her.
What caused the Artifacts Owner to bury it underground? Did they hope to
I think he just loved the attention.
luxurious coins? That's worth a pretty good deal, actually.
Noises, tell stupid jokes during lecture,
So I'm actually glad I stopped.
and any other stupid irritating crap that you could think of. Our teacher, she was quite a patient lady, but you could tell by mid-year that she had enough of his crap as anyone. She couldn't even really punish him because Brandon loved that kind of attention and it made him all the happier. The few times he got too much, she would give him detention and a couple times sent him to the office, which just made him more giddy. We had a very tame office staff and they would keep him in the office for an hour or something and just let him out. Full stop. She tried everything and you could tell she was at the end of her wits. A few weeks after 9/11, some kid thought it would be funny to call in a bomb threat. They cleared the school and went locker by locker. They found nothing, of course, and we went back in. As soon as we sat down in that geography class, an office staff member came into our class and went up to our teacher and whispered something into her ear. I still remember the calm look on her face. In the most professional way, she looked over at Brandon and said, "You're being called to the office." She went on with the rest of the class completely normal. They had found quite a bit of weed in Brandon's locker and as a result he was expelled over it. She slipped the weed in his locker. What a badass.
Oof.
They had found quite a bit of weed in Brandon's locker and as a result he was expelled over it. She slipped the weed in his locker. What a badass. College instructor here was teaching at 102. Smart but kid. Was on a sports team as a student manager and this was his life. He lived to pick up jock straps and clean lockers and all that. Well, anyway, that's fine and I was happy for him. He sat in the front row and was always talking about stuff that happened with the team or he was...
This ship does not have very good maneuverability.
Sometimes he was doing all those things. He was really scattered. At this point I wasn't really angry with him. Just concerned. He was way too cool to actually do work when I gave the class time to work on their papers and he decided he didn't need the book. I told him many times he needed to buckle down and get going.
But this ship, however, I feel like has way better control.
He would just get up and leave class 15 minutes in if he decided he didn't want to stay.
Damn.
Make any class discussion heck for everyone else because he couldn't for some reason follow the thread of the conversation and would...
But it only has 300.
He was also pretty sexist and was always talking about various ways he cheated in classes or helped other people cheat. He was so incredibly friendly though. I told him many times he shouldn't discuss these kinds of things in front of a teacher. So finally, I am telling the class that the last day to drop is tomorrow and blah blah blah. He comes up to me after class and asks if he should drop. I look at his grade, which is an abomination, and tell him, yes, I think the best course of action would be for him to drop. Well, he stopped coming to class but he never dropped. I gave him an F. He sent me an email with a frowny face with lots of parentheses, like this. Nah man, he sent you a centipede.
What?
Give him an F. He sent me an email with a frowny face with lots of parentheses, like this. Nah man, he sent you a centipede. Sister told me this story. Teacher kept a pack of Oreos behind the whiteboard and when he would walk out of the class, students would jump in and grab some and eat them before he came back. Teacher noticed so he put really hot sauce inside the Oreos and left on purpose. Came back in and the kids who stole the cookies were left heavily breathing and sweating. They never stole cookies again. Elementary school teacher, so this doesn't seem quite as serious as the others. Here goes though. There was a problem child in my class who thought it was cool to not listen to teacher advice, shrug off reprimands, and make snarky comments. He was hard to manage, but by no means a bad kid. We have a rule at our school that there's no running on the deck outside of our classroom. The official reason for this is that it's dangerous, but the rule is often ignored when no teacher is looking. One day the entire class and myself were standing out on the deck, lined up for lunch, when this particular student was coming back from getting something in the front building. He decided to blatantly ignore the no running on the deck rule that he had been reminded of probably 100
I know this system probably has some pretty planets.
towards the class. Right
I got a nice planet.
He tripped and
A planet that shall make me happy and give me sustenance. Possibly.
The entire class saw.
Probably not though. There are less than like there are no. I've only found like 4 Earth-like planets that look like Earth, had the same features like Earth, different flora though, and fauna, but still, they're close enough.
Snarky kid had epic wipeout.
Only like 4 planets in all my exploration. But then again, I don't really check out the planets either. What have I got myself into?
Terrible. Really tough school.
Ooh, wee.
Made for a free
Is that an S-class?
Mid-year I was at my wit's end. Was trying to right the ship and struggling.
That is not an S-class.
Enter my principal.
That's most definitely an A.
A few weeks before and was shocked at easily 10 of my students' behavior. Told me he knew I had a field trip coming up, and he would happily stay back and watch any of my students that I didn't want to go because of their behavior. So, a few days before the trip I told my class this. However, I waited until read aloud because that's when it was toughest. The good 12 kids in class loved read aloud. They just wanted to enjoy the book. The other 10-14 would constantly good around and not listen to a word. So, I casually mentioned, in the middle of read aloud, that some students would be staying back from our fabulous field trip in a few days with the principal. I told them it was all behavior based. Of course, the good kids heard me. The little shoots didn't. The next 2 days the little shoots continue being little shoots. The morning of the field trip, about 2 hours before the trip, I remind the class of the principal's visit to the little
let's go, baby.
Angels. Field trip comes and in walks my principal. I calmly read off the list of 13 names staying while the rest of the class comes with me. I had left the most boring worksheets possible for the kids to leave behind. And as we walked out the door all the little shots were crying while my principal was reading them the riot act. The remainder of my class and I had a lovely trip, enjoyed a great play. They glimpsed what school should be like and I got the glimpse of what teaching could be. When we got back, it looked like the little shoots had never stopped crying. Best day of the year.
Damn, bro.
There was a clique of the popular kids who were often jerks and acted out because hey, that's funny in high school. Our city had a living center for the mentally ill that also had a public swimming pool, and when we got to the swim module in gym, that was where we headed. Well, one day there's an extremely autistic 14-year-old at the pool, like barely functioning. And shut the fuck, besides that it'll be funny to sit there and growl at him aggressively, like a hostile dog, because why the frick not? Autistic kid loses his crap. He freaks right out. The kid's handler figures out what happens, because someone discreetly tells her when she's wondering why her ward is losing his goddamn mind, and goes up to the teacher about it. Cool guy is banned from the center. He automatically fails the module. They choose to take it a step further, however, and decide that he instantly fails a gym course, losing the credits he needed to graduate, in addition to a lengthy suspension.
Yeah, that looks like an S-class, though.
Transferred into the elementary school I was working at. One was a total brat and the only open seat for him was next to a sweet little girl with autism. He was antagonizing her all day until he made the mistake of growling at her during snack and she just growled back and smashed his bag of goldfish into tiny little pieces with her fist. Not teacher, but I'll tell you a story anyway. There was this guy in middle school that would take shoots and pee in the hallways. Really weird, but he somehow thought it was funny, so he kept doing it. Well, I was locker buddies with this really early developed guy in middle school. He was like Hagrid big to me back then. I noticed the weird kid standing next to my locker but standing in front of Hagrid's locker. Him thinking, oh crap, something's about to go down, so I waited. Hagrid gets to his locker and this kid was still standing in front of his locker. Hagrid tells him to please move out of the way because he was blocking the way. Weird kid says no and starts chuckling. All I am thinking is oh crap. Hagrid asks again and still the same response. This is when Hagrid fricking kicks this MF in the face. Like I've never seen anything like this before. This kid is standing straight up and he lifted his leg higher than I am in height and kicked this kid in the face. Hagrid gets suspended and tells me if that kid ever bothers me to let him know so he can kick him in the face again. You're in the way, Harry. I'm Wah. SLAMMM. Park Ranger here. We do this urban education initiative.
What level?
No money to bus inner city kids out to a wetland. There was this one kid, let's call him Pablo, who was this third grade classroom's funny guy. Live animal demonstration. Ask about its nipples and then repeat the words nipple
I know.
so everyone could laugh.
Oh god, I hope this is an S class.
The whole time. Of course,
Vietnam would be so sad.
Answered the questions because I begrudgingly know a lot about scat and nipples. Every learning opportunity for other kids he would barge into and take everybody out of the moment. Every time I got kids excited about nature, he would do some lame peer pressure so the vibe was no, nature sucks. I wanted to push him into some briars pretty bad. Justice came swiftly when I was explaining poison ivy to half the group. He swaggers over and does some kind of these leaves mind prank to disrupt the focus of the group. I wanted to tell him it was poison ivy but instead told him to put it down. And the other kids were like drop it. The reverse psychology made him caress the leaves even more and then before he touched his face I had to tell him what they were. Pablo then cried. His crude but cool guy persona was shattered and everybody listened to me for the rest of the field trip. One of
This is a cat Eevee.
about being a teacher is when a child experiences natural consequences like tripping after they refuse to stop running or accidentally hitting themselves when
I bet in autosave. I probably didn't.
But my favorite I have ever witnessed though was from a preschooler. He used to army crawl under the lunch tables and jump off the furniture. One day in the lunchroom, he got pee for some unidentifiable reason. He stood rooted in one spot and screamed that he was never moving. He wanted to make a point so he stomped as viciously as he could. He was wearing really flat-footed sandals on a
Hello there!
must have hit the ground with a perfectly level foot.
What level is your freighter?
His mouth made an
B, of course.
upside U and
Alright.
like that guy.
It was fun.
Bob who yells.
Of course.
Felt like justice to me. I just snort laughed at this. It's so visual. It's beautiful. This one is more sad than satisfying and more directed at the parents than the student. I'm an elementary special ed teacher.
Oh god!
Children with emotional
B!
behavioral
B class! I don't want B class!
But this one student was truly
I don't want it!
He was a very quiet and polite boy, and the IEP did not mention any kind of behavioral issues. We had no idea why he was being sent to us. Then slowly we started to see what it was. Every once in a while he would just go crazy, laughing maniacally, cursing, insulting other students, getting out of his seat to dance or run out the room.
Dear God. It did not. Autosave. Perfect!
Start uncontrollably sobbing. Then other times he would talk to someone named Daniel. Despite there being no Daniel in the
Who Daniel?
Daniel would make him say and do these things. This student told us. The student is only 9. And the things he was saying were things I didn't hear until high school. It was obvious someone was showing this stuff to this kid.
Stupid.
A serious mental disorder was present.
Daniel told me to do it. Daniel wants me to do evil things. Who the hell is Daniel?
And a half of no progress. This past
Daniel, listen. The voice.
Oh, sorry about that. Hey, travelers. And this video will be a guide on how to locate those elusive S-class capital ships or freighters. Stick around and I'll show you where to go on your galaxy map to increase your chances on finding these ships. And we'll also go over some frigate information as well.
Did you know VMware in the cloud is up to 36.8% less expensive than traditional cloud alternatives? Save
About freighters. The best tip, very rare, are found along the way. Your first warps, you're gonna be pulled right into a freighter battle. It looks like this one. You will notice it. Pirates will be shooting at you. Door slots.
That is the question that matters the most. What actually...
We know how to trigger a freighter.
Let's continue. So what is freighter hunting exactly? Really enjoying to read your comments as well. You are true.
Alright, so fingers crossed. Hopefully we come across something really good here. The one we used in this tutorial was a Imperial class Dreadnought, which was dual S rated and had 34 slots. I actually found this after if one looks at this method, you'll be able to get... The answer is... Okay, so I know what your next question's going to be, guys. It's going to be, how do I know the next system I walk into is going to have a freighter there? And the answer is, you need to have at least 3 hours of game time, and you need to have walked 5 times. So when I'm saying 3 hours of game time, what does that actually mean? So that means either actively playing the game, so that could be...
Oh my god.
Hi guys, this is Madam Alabob, so welcome to another video. Today, this video, I'm going to fight it. So before we fight it actually, go to the space station and make an autosave and reload. That's why.
If you do warp into another system and it triggers the target system, and then straight away you need to warp to an adjacent system, any system close by, create an autosave, whether or not it's on a space station or on a planet, and you, in order for a space battle to trigger, which is what we are looking for, because you have a or on a planet, and you, in order for your autosave, and then you warp to the target system where the freighter is you're looking for, system, any system close by, create an autosave, whether or not it's on a space station or on a planet, and you, in order for a space battle to trigger, which is what we are looking for, because you have a space battle, you rescue a freighter from pirates, and then you have the chance to buy that freighter, which is what we're looking for. So in order for that space battle to spawn, you need to have been playing for at least 3 hours, and you need to have done 5 warps. Now, like I said, you get yourself to an adjacent system, create an autosave, and before you leave that system to go anywhere else, because you can still play the game, you can go and explore and do whatever, but before you go to any system, always make sure that you create an autosave. That way, if you do warp into another system and it triggers the space battle earlier than what you was expecting, for at least a space battle to trigger, which is what looking for, because you save, you warp to the target system where the freighter is you're looking for, and then you've got your battle, and then you can defeat the pirates and get the freighter that you're looking for. So here I am, I'm in the target system now. Ned, Terry, or whatever it says there, and I'm simply going to warp to any system that's close by, and I'm going to do those steps I've just been speaking about. So here we are in the next system, straight into the space station. I'm going to create myself an autosave. That was my first warp, by the way. So just land the ship, jump out, jump back in, there's your save created.
Woo, wait, sure taking your time, huh?
that's warp number 1 done. So, but, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and warp another 4 times. System map, look for a close by system.
It'll all be worth it in the end.
So we'll find ourselves another one. Now this system doesn't have a space station, but I'm going to land on a planet and create an autosave that way. And I'll just quickly time lapse the video to shorten it a bit. Right, so that's 5 warps.
My nose! Oh shit. Here we go again. Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? Uh-oh. This is not gonna be this is gonna be like a C class. I'm gonna be mad too. Bro, this finna be like a C class freighter. I'm gonna be mad too.
What do you wanna watch?
We could watch Modern Family.
Oh, how about Ted Lasso?
Google TV recommends shows and other apps, so you don't have to go from app to app to app.
Hey Google.
Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Welcome to Easier TV. Welcome to Google TV.
I called back. Same State Farm agent. Texted the next day. Same guy. Hey, blink twice if you're in danger.
Guys, it's called service. Like a good neighbor?
Pathetic interloper.
It was an old factory in the middle of nowhere. Long abandoned, but still standing. In the past, it had been filled with workers, but now nothing ran through it besides the occasional wildlife. One July night in 1949, though, 4 teenagers decided it would be a good place to explore. The entrance to the factory was a large, old-fashioned looking wooden door that was locked tightly shut. The teens looked around for another way in, but couldn't find one. What they did find, though, was an old iron lockbox. After some effort, they managed to get the box open and found a ring of 12 old rusted steel keys sitting inside.
Would these old keys open the wooden door? Would they find something inside that would make their night of breaking and entering worth it? If only they knew that by unlocking the door, all they would find was true horror. Because they had just found SCP-004, better known as the 12 Keys and the Door. Not long after, the local sheriff received a call from 3 of the panicked teens. They explained that to get into the factory, one of their friends had gone missing. The local authorities were quickly deployed, taking the 3 teens into custody and beginning a full search of the factory grounds. The searching sheriff's department officers did eventually manage to find a clue as to what happened to the missing teen, but it wasn't a good sign. It was their severed hand, and even more disturbing is that it wasn't discovered outside the factory. No, it was found over 8 kilometers away. Soon other body parts were also found, some as far as 32 kilometers away. But how could the parts of the dead teenager's body have been scattered so quickly and so far from each other? When the surviving teens were interrogated, they all repeated the same wild story. The now dead teen had taken one of the keys out of the old box they had found and used it to unlock the strange old-fashioned wooden door that led into the factory. They opened the door and stepped inside. And the moment they did, they were immediately torn into pieces that suddenly vanished. These were no ordinary keys, and this was no ordinary door. It was clear, this was a job for the SCP Foundation. An SCP agent was deployed to the site to begin investigating this anomaly. After getting the keys from local authorities, the agent ordered a group of 12 D-Class personnel to test them. 1 for each key, and it soon became clear that there was one effect that was common. 10 of the keys seemed to cause an effect that was completely unsurvivable. Upon trying the key in the door, the test subject was immediately torn apart just like the unfortunate teenager. While one key caused the body parts to be scattered in the immediate vicinity, all the others seemed to vanish into thin air. But it was the other 2 keys that proved to be of even greater interest to the Foundation. Unlike with all the other tests, the D-Class using the key designated SCP-004-7 was able to enter the door and return completely unharmed. But the D-Class using SCP-004-12 was a different story. Physically, he returned unharmed, but he seemed barely able to stagger out of the room. He collapsed, and then began trying to claw his eyes out in panic and terror. He was quickly restrained and interrogated, but he wasn't coherent enough to give the Foundation any idea of what lurked behind the door. The first D-Class to enter using SCP-004-7, the one who returned intact and sane, only said that it was a massive room inside, far bigger than the building appeared from the outside. It was determined that the use of this key was safe enough for further testing. The door was open again.
How to know if a solar system is going to have an S-class freighter?
Welcome back to No Man's Sky. If you're in your menu, like you're going after your inventory and stuff, that does count because the game is still running in the background, but if you pause it, the game pauses, so that does not count. Have to play for 3 hours in order to not hit this, and if you hit it and save it, manual save done, and you can pick this up afterwards as well. Really good freighter. Let's be able to find a random freighter like that right there. That's a random freighter. They could be a small one, they could be a big one. I've never seen an S-Class on these ones that just spawn into your system. Like you'll be flying around and randomly see a freighter warp in. It's a random, and it's not a your odds of getting a good one are not very high. But if you've played for 3 hours and you warp 5 times and it counts in there, don't shoot them, oh good lord. Then, you want to create a manual save every time you're about to warp, because you're waiting for that space battle, and it only happens when you first warp into a system. So we're looking for a flourishing system. Let's look at this one right here, okay. So I just saved. Let's warp into this system because it's a flourishing, and you're going to need an economy scanner to let you know if it's a good system or not.
Economy scanner? Oh no. Wait, I do have an economy scanner. So I need to find a flourishing system. How do you know it's flourishing?
Let's look at this one right here, okay? So I just saved. Let's warp into this system because it's a flourishing and you're going to need
booming, balanced, opulent, substantial, convertible, satisfactory. Factory. Come on, man. What's with the stick drift? Unsuccessful. Developing. There's one. Flourishing. That's a definite C class. I'd just be feeling like it will be a C class. I'll be extremely lucky if it's even an A. But I'll buy it. That was extremely easy. Let's go ahead and check out the C class. Man.
An economy scanner to let you know if it's a good system or not. You're looking for wealthy, prosperous, flourishing, really good systems. If you look at one and it says like destitute or bad, then no, you don't want to go to that one. Or, you know, failing. Those are going to be really bad systems, and so there'll be a freighter battle, but it's going to be a really, like, low-class freighter. It's going to be a C or a B, and it's going to have a very small inventory. We want to maximize our chances of a good inventory and a good class, and so you go to a wealthy system. So let's go to this one. This is our first one. Let's go try this one out.
Hey there, Captain.
And look at that. You spawned right next to where the battle is. You see there's a battle going on right now.
I see.
So,
God!
if you spawned in and you see this battle, you're like, okay, now it's on. This is my freighter. Take a look at the freighter. This looks like a medium-sized freighter. It doesn't look like a... Oh, wait a minute. It could be a big one. Okay. Now it looks like a medium one. It's not too big. So it's probably not a good one, but we'll never know until we find out. So, let's take out these enemy combatants. Now this is the tricky part. Don't shoot the freighter. Like if they fly close to the freighter, just stop shooting, because if you attack the freighter, they will never be nice to you. Actually, they'll think you're an enemy as well. They'll think you're a pirate, and then it's over. You might as well just reload. If you shoot the freighter, just reload your save, because they will not be nice to you. Yeah, this one looks like a small one, so it's probably not going to be good, but I will show you.
I just want to be happy.
How it works. So let's get this battle over with, and then I will show you what happens.
It's some hot garbage BS.
Alright, that was the last one. And you'll notice that this ship is different than the last one. Oh, let's do the emergency comms. They're going to call you to say, hey, thank you for saving us. Boom, and communications, we're good. So we're good, so let's go talk to the captain and see what kind of freighter this is. But yeah, anyway, you'll notice this one's a little bit different because I accidentally shot the last freighter. So don't do that. If you do that, you're going to have to reload. But it's okay, that's why you make the manual save. Because you can reload your manual save, they come right back to the system, and you're good to go. But you'll also see, this is a different ship. Now, it's a different ship because I reloaded. Every time you reload, it'll give you a different thing. And so, if it's not the freighter you want, reload your manual save, come back and fight the fight again, save the ship, the freighter, and then you gotta do it all over again. But then you go in and you talk to the captain and see what the stats are on the ship, and let's see it. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, and so always go to a wealthy system, and if you find a good one, remember it, because it has a higher chance of that particular freighter being in there. And so if you reload your save, you might get the same one, just with a different inventory. So always try to do that. But if you can't remember,
some hesitate decision.
Now this looks promising.
Introducing the 2022 Telluride Nightfall Edition.
I estimate that this is probably either a B.
It was an old factory in the middle of nowhere, long abandoned, but
yeah, Joe Sainer, I'm looking for S-class freighters right now.
But now nothing ran through it besides the occasional wildlife. One July night in 1949, though, 4 teenagers decided it would be a good place to explore. The entrance to the factory was a large, old-fashioned looking.
Yeah, we can get in a party.
Tightly shut. The teens looked around for another way in, but couldn't find one. What they did find, though, was an old iron.
Just invite me.
After some effort, they managed to get the box open and found a ring of 12 old rusted steel keys sitting inside. Would these old keys open the wooden door? Would they find something inside that would make their night of breaking and entering worth it? If only they knew that by unlocking the door, all they would find was true horror. Because they had just found SCP-004. Better.
Man, I hate trying to find this freighter.
If you're gonna watch an SCP thing, and also if you're gonna look for a freighter, you need a tier 3 economy for an S rank.
Yeah, I'm good.
No.
Yeah, no. Like, I have the economy scanner. I'm only going after wealthy systems, and only going after wealthy and flourishing systems.
Let me see here.
The ship was literally stuck in the freighter. Thank you.
The economy tier is No Man's Sky.
I'm sorry. You can get on my side, huh? And I estimate this one's probably going to be like a B or A.
Alright, so listen. For the tier 3, advanced, affluent, booming, flourishing, high supply, opulent, prosperous, and wealthy.
Yeah, I'm at a wealthy system right now. I'm near the galactic hub, so there's a lot, like, that's in like a quadrant of this galaxy that's like has a whole bunch of like wealthy stuff. Systems.
I got Galaxy 256.
Well, on my new playthrough, I'm at when I went to the center, I got to the Hilbert dimension. That's where one of my main bases are at.
My main base in fucking Eisenton.
Is I don't really like the Euclid galaxy. It doesn't have enough like flourishing planets. Either that.
Yeah, that's why you got to go to Eisenton, the green galaxy, when you first reset the galaxy.
Really?
Mhm.
You know, I got my Explorer up to having 2005 hyperdrive range, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Well, let's see what the hyperdrive range of this is. Not enough, but I'll check out my living ship.
Okay, Captain Lunan, what C, B, or A class do you have for me today?
You don't have to talk to the captain. Just look through your visor. You'll see right then.
Look through my visor?
Yes. Look at the walls of the thing and look through your visor.
Bruh. Ah!
What?
Rage!
It's a C rank.
It is that's exactly what you said. I have to reload my save.
Alright, well, let me go to another system.
Angering me! No! My save!
What? What, JK?
Nothing, man.
Did I do something?
No, you didn't. That angers me. I really don't like this game.
It's a fun game.
It's fun until you have to go ahead and try looking for a S class and you can't find one.
Imagine doing that twice.
No, all they give you is C's or B's.
Hey,
no matter where you go.
Judicator.
What?
It took me 29 times to get the S rank I got now.
Yeah, man, I've been on this game for like 9 hours so far. Well, 3, because
By the way, let me summon my S rank here.
Luckily, I'm stuck in this thing where I have my save point. Oh, my ship.
Let me know when we're gonna play something.
Now I gotta go find another flourishing system.
You know, it's usually every 3 hours you have to wait for a battle, right?
Well, yeah, I've already played this game 3 hours, so I hope.
It resets on time. Oh shit, I got you.
This game don't reset. And plus, I got a what's it called? I got a save, so I'm still on my 3 hour count anyway. So I should still have a.
But are we gonna play at all, or what?
I mean, yeah, like it probably won't take me long to find one as long as I can get to the right system.
Take a while.
I know that, but not as long.
What's the range of my living ship here?
Data unavailable? What are you talking about?
My range on my living ship is 2,366.6.
I wonder how you get like upgrade modules for your living ship. I think you just
exactly where to. Hold on. I know
you
exactly
just buy.
where to go. No. I know exactly where to go. They drop them all the time.
There's one. Another flourishing system. Perfect. Lovely. I love it. If it turns out to be another C class, I'm gonna be mad. It's gonna be a C class.
It's gonna be a C class.
It's gonna be a C class. It's gonna be.
12 keys and the door.
I can tell you, it's gonna be a C class.
I already have clairvoyance that it is.
Cases of anxiety.
And I never get clairvoyance wrong. I predict that it's either going to be a C or B class, and it's real. And I'm really pushing it on that B class margin.
I'm giving you a little luck here, but it's only going to be
the effects on well-being caused by
Bro, you're aiming too high for No Man's Sky, sir. An A class?
How many hours have you invested into this account in No Man?
Like 200 to 300 hours, maybe.
I'm invested almost 1,000 though.
Jesus Christ, man.
Old wooden door.
Nearby freighter attack.
Though the subject had died many years ago.
No. This is not. This is most definitely a C class.
And this wouldn't be the only sudden reappearance. 2 days later, a second body missing parts appeared in front of the door. This was quickly identified as one of the...
Go watch what?
The Vogon.
I don't know what that.
Serious. Former convicts of Reddit. What did happen to pedophiles in prison?
Got beat up.
Just in a high-security felony wing of jail waiting for extradition to another state. Not in prison at the time. Well, the few that came in were told to go to Seg or get their fricking heads busted every day till they did. The one dude came in and refused to leave, was yelled at, spit on, and threatened until everyone had enough. 3 dudes ran up in his cell and threw him the most vicious beating you can imagine. I remember him crawling out of his cell and the dude pulling him back in for more. I could hear the bones breaking from 20 feet away. He died on the way to the hospital. All the guys that took part were there on murder beefs anyway, so the extra 5 years they got was worth it to them. This was an extreme case as the jail was overpopulated and they tried to sneak the chomas in Gen Pop because Seg was full. Everywhere else I was incarcerated they keep the touchers far away from us.
Kitty touchers.
I was an HBSP for some time due to a drug crime. I ran with the Pacer car. Hispanic non-gang related. Cartel members okay. Upon entering while in the fish tank 30 days and your
the cartels, I don't fuck with the cartels.
Asks you if you want to hit GP, general population, or protective custody.
Why?
Here you can choose.
Ooh, there's a...
If you're stupid.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to play that game. A blue system.
And the fish tank is over, you are moved to the level 3 yard. Once in level 3, your celly will ask you your C. Pre-sentence investigation report. This will have you if you talk.
I would ask if you wanted to help, but then I can't reload my save. I'm gonna do 3 more tries, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just quit and then do this tomorrow.
Alright, but would you be willing to play the game with me somehow? Now?
Yeah, man. Not now, but like 3. I said 3 more tries, and then I'll do it. This looks promising.
Well, I'm gonna go to the settlement and fight off the robots.
Yeah, this is not a no way in hell it is.
You can't tell by battles.
Yeah. I'm finna kill all the things and then try it.
You just get out the shit and you scan the wall of the thing. That's all you have to do.
These guys came in fast. Were they kamikaze pilots? Hey!
Alright, I'm a settlement getting attacked. Or not. This is the first that Jotunheim is not getting attacked.
One guy on one of the YouTube videos I was watching earlier said like he found a small S-class freighter and promptly joined the pirates.
Oh, S-class settlement.
I ranked up my S-class settlement. I mean my B-class to an S-class.
I got 15 million worth of Omic gel people to sell.
I took the words of Thanos and made them personal. I said I took the balance of money, debt, and happiness of my citizens and balanced it out to pure perfection.
Alright, so that's good for now. Let me see if there's any construction projects I can work on.
No, wrong! I accidentally shot the wrong ship. Dang.
Oh boy.
Okay, they're not shooting at me, so I guess they know it was an accident. Y'all ready to see what level this is? What are y'all thinking? Is it C or B, chat?
Hey.
Talk to the COPSEC.
A DSE-1 item oil maker.
If you're clean, no issue. If your paperwork is dirty for molesting a child, etc.
It's a B.
They will tell you it's okay. We all make mistakes. In the background, Sally will ask you your C. Pre-sentence investigation report. This will have your crime, and if you talk to the COPSEC, this paperwork will be handed over to the key holder, the leader of the car. If you're clean, no issue. If your paperwork is dirty for molesting a child, etc. They will tell you it's okay. We all make mistakes. In the background, we are planning to take you out. For us it was either pay the Southsiders to clean our mess or we can keep it within the Pacer car. HDSP is in the desert and the yard is covered in rocks. We would wait until chow time. Dinner during winter. Breakfast during summer when we had cover of darkness. Walking to the chow hall we would have preplanted a special rock. Nearing said rock the line would lose its form and the selected person picks up said rock and slams it against the person's head as hard as possible. Normally person would drop, bleed and we continue as nothing happened. Throwing away used rock. Iffy person would not drop back. 1 and 2 would either start beating up the person. Really depends on how bad they fricked up. If it was a true frick up a shank would be used. In 2 years only saw this happen 2 times, none by the Paisars but by the Southsiders. Spent 10 months in the Texas prison system for manslaughter. For your information. First offense and it was an accident, which is why it was a short sentence. They were typically berated and yelled at pretty badly. Most of them that stuck around the Gen Pop dorms were honest and just perfs. She was 16, he was 22. That kind of crap. We had one guy, raped both his daughters from 4 on up.
Ah!
14 YO hit her cell phone and recorded it happening.
What the hell?
Spoiler, this is graphic.
What the
I woke up to me and my neighbor. Bed at my feet. We were in rows. Pulled me back down. Told me not to go to the bathroom. I'm new to this and don't know any better and brushed it off. Anyways, 3 guys had the Chester pinned down raping him. At this point all I really saw was blood or crap and then his face. It looked like a sock wrapped around a broomstick shoved sideways in his mouth to keep him quiet. The scary part was the sound. There were 56 men in this dorm. There wasn't enough sound to wake up hardly anyone. All this lasted maybe 1 second and I went back to bed. I didn't.
Now this freighter looks promising.
That man spent the rest of the time I had there with his head down or swinging wildly at anyone who even looked at him wrong. The worst part is most everyone acted like it was normal and I didn't do a dang thing about it. I went with the flow. I lived in the same large, gymnasium-sized room for 5 months with him and could never look at him knowing I didn't help. Prison is heck. People act like it's what they deserve. If our government selects spend 1 week in a prison we would see reform so fast. I only made it because I was smart. A few well-respected people basically said this guy's not coming back, don't frick with him, and I would build a tattoo gun or radio. Steal from work. Guards never looked twice at me. I still got stabbed, got beaten and had to hurt a few people. For anyone wondering, I crashed going 14 miles per hour over the limit. 74 in a 60. My best friend didn't have a seatbelt on and flew out when we flipped. I doubt I'll ever be normal and can hardly live with myself some days. I admitted to the EMT to drinking 4 hours prior to the crash. I thought my legs were broken and wanted to be honest before I got pumped full of meds, and even though I knew I was okay to drive and the blood work came back negative. A cop had me saying it on video and I got charged with manslaughter. Apparently screaming sorry at the top of my lungs at my dead friend's body looked battered, according to my lawyer, and made me look guilty. I signed a plea. Ex of mine went to prison in Brazil. Said an offender came in after he was processed. Both the inmates and the guards dressed him in a dress, wig, put lipstick on him, put out cigarettes on him, and beat the crap out of him. I didn't know if he made it or not.
Probably not.
A family member spent a few months for gun-related charges back in 2004 in the Presidio Central.
Now this is a SV5 Camish Bush.
They check into PC.
I don't know yet.
Most Chesters I encountered in jail.
It's an A class.
White guys. There were a few there for
I already have an A class though.
Girls who were 15 when they were 18 and they are generally left alone as it is a situation.
That's dumb.
Themselves in as an 18-year-old kid. Older dudes do not get that leeway though. They are beaten, extorted, robbed, raped themselves, or killed by the alpha inmates. They really didn't like to kill the guys at the camp I was on as they are. Like I said, older white guys. They typically have money on their books and go to commissary every week. They are an endless source of hygiene products and snacks. I've seen a line of inmates outside of a Chester's cell door with a list of items they each want him to order. For his sake, he better hope he's got the money on his books to satisfy all their wants. If he doesn't, it never ended well for him. At a county jail I was in northern VA 1997, they would bring food carts up to each block with the appropriate number of trays drinks for each inmate to receive one meal. It wasn't exclusive to Chester's, but if you saw a guy grab 2 trays back to back through the food slot, you knew someone either A, wasn't going to eat because of their crime, or B, they were put on a diet because whoever grabbed 2 trays thought that person was a B. Normally though, they would announce to the rest of the block whose tray they were taking to alleviate any potential confusion in case one of their boys was the guy going without. Funny part is, most people didn't even eat the food. They waited until everyone had access to their boxes. We were locked out of our cells in the day room every morning at 7:30, and made burritos, ramen, chips, meat, cheese, etc. for dinner. COs know what's going on. They don't really seem to care though. I guess overall they get it the worst. A lot of guys are there to do their time and go home, or do their time as drama-free as possible. All bets are off though when it comes to Chester's. I kind of felt bad for them, TBH. What makes him so much worse than me? Sure, I didn't molest kids, but what makes their crimes of murder, armed robbery and rape any less life-changing or traumatic for their victims? I did see a Chester beat the absolute dog crap out of 2 guys in his cell one night though. That was pretty rad. Dude was like 26. Girl lied and said she was 19, 15, and he got some time. He ended up throwing one of them off the chair onto a table in the day room. I never root for sex offenders per se, but that was frickin' awesome. Dude was like 26. Girl lied and said she was 19, 15, and he got some time. I can see why that wouldn't really bother anyone. When you're a 40-year-old man and raping 10-year-olds, that is a whole different ballgame.
Yo, so what does booming mean?
What?
What does booming mean? Like a booming in economy.
That's tier 3.
A tier 3? Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Well, you coming down here anyways? Because I'm bored.
This is my 2nd attempt. I have 1 more.
I usually get 3 attempts in under 5 minutes.
Because I go in, kill all the creatures, then go, check for what's going on, then leave. If it's an S-Class, I will take all the active indium out of my bank account and sell it all and buy an S-Class.
How many are you running right now?
How much money I have? Copious amounts.
How much?
Like probably $1 billion. Okay.
Okay, let me see here. I got 1.7 billion.
And plus, an S-Class only costs like 200 million. Or maybe 150. Depends.
It's funny because the S-Class you're looking for, I got. You heard?
I'm here.
It's funny because the S-Class you're looking for, I actually got. Speaking of which, let me go check out my freighters. I forget. I think I actually called them.
She belonged to streets.
Any luck?
What?
Any luck?
Any luck? Not yet. I swear to God, dude. I don't want to play this game another 3 hours. Please.
As they call child molesters were considered to be at risk from other inmates, so not included with the general prison populace. There were special units and they were kept in for their safety.
Whatever you're watching is being broadcast over your mic and
your counselor will ask you if there's any reason that you can't leave the yard or...
You will not be monetized if people want things like that. I'm just saying. What is there to laugh about?
Monetization! You know how many subscribers I have, man?
Okay, I know I got more than you, but the point is...
10. I have 10 subscribers.
They will still... Listen, you don't understand. They will still look on your past. What is that to fucking laugh about? I'm fucking telling you, because I know how the fuck YouTube works. I've been doing it for fucking 7 years, on and off.
I don't do YouTube for money. I do it for fun. I can't give less shits.
If it comes wrong, it comes wrong.
I was a
But the
chef
point
for a
is, you won't get
famous
monetized
all-inclusive
if they
hotel
see that
chain.
kind of shit in your streams in the past.
Look, man, I can give less shits about what YouTube thinks.
Just telling you.
Even if I get lucky enough to get views of astronomical proportions, I'd probably just give the money away to charity anyway. I don't need it.
Anyways, what am I doing? I'm so fucking bored waiting. Why is my fucking freighter a different color?
Yeah, sometimes in different systems with the different lighting, it just turns like your ship different colors for some reason. It's weird. I just need one flourishing system. Promising. Medium, adequate, balanced. Compromising. Victory. Advanced, developed. God, I don't know why it's so hard to find one of these. What about one near a black hole? Medium supply, of course. I should have streamed me going on the Atlas path. Never did.
Okay, let me go check out my bases. My farm's already here.
Yo! Don't tell me I'm being attacked. Don't play with me, game. This game's tripping.
Oh, speaking of Indian farms, let me clear inventory. I'm gonna go on an Indian run my damn self.
Oh my god. Declining, booming, booming, sustainable. Sustainable. Promising. Declining, again. Sustainable. Comfortable, adequate. I mean, you would expect like a system by a black hole to be completely booming, and they have infinite power until like Hawking radiation and whatnot.
All right, so let's go find this place.
Infinite energy. I guess that could be also a big problem. I guess the gravitational wouldn't like gravity. God, can't say words today. I guess the gravity of a black hole would probably interfere with warping stuff. Oh my god. Promising. I don't know why it's so hard to find a what's it called?
What the? Oh, okay, this place is the same.
Flourishing. I keep finding promising or medium supply, but I've found fledgling, failing, booming.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find a supplier.
Looking for what type of indium? Active or just regular old indium?
Activated.
I can give you some of that.
Oh no, there's a huge farm I use.
Oh, you have one of those too.
I got plenty of sites that I've either found or ran into.
I need to find it. I'm probably gonna make a copper farm one of these days.
That is kind of easy. Excuse me.
What'd you say about my copper farm, man?
Excuse me. Kind of useless, to be honest.
I don't think it is, man. That's like an infinite amount of chromatic metal.
Yeah,
for just shit I want to do.
Metal with activated indium and everything too. A lot more.
Yeah, but like I don't want to spend my precious active indium on some shit when I could just make
I can easily get
an infinite
chromatic metal from everything.
I know.
I would not use copper, to be honest.
I mean, oh my god, dear God. There's a flourishing. I missed it. Where'd it go? Don't do this to me, game. Do not do this to me, game.
Mina de Fosforo. Oh, phosphorus, man.
Fuck me, dude. Come on. What's with my stick drift right? I'm kind of mad right now.
I don't want nitrogen.
I don't really know what you use gases for in this game. They don't even sell for that good of a price.
It's making stuff.
I've only had like 2 recipes that I actually need like nitrogen gas for.
Ooh, fuck. Getting right into the ground there. Where's the base? Communication station, oxygen vent, communication station. I can't fucking see anything.
Yo, flourishing is a good, right? Like you're supposed to find flourishing systems.
It doesn't only have to be flourishing.
Yeah, I know, but flourishing is
no,
better.
It's not the best. No, it's not.
Flourishing
affluent. Affluent.
You mean is it spelled with an O?
It's spelled with an A. But any of them tier 3s can do the same job that any one does.
Affluent. I've actually found a couple of those, which I don't know now. Where the
fuck is this far out?
One day I was approached in the kitchen and told I needed to pack my bags and move 3,000 miles away to fix a labor issue at another hotel. I happily obliged, but negotiated a deal where I would have my choice of any hotel location after I successfully fixed the labor issue. I arrived at the new hotel and proceeded to diligently address the labor problem, while also taking over dinner service for 750 people. After a few months the labor issue had been fixed and settled, and the kitchen was running as smoothly as the general population. This is usually where you make the decision to do your time in the shoe all alone, or take your chances out with everyone else. You do need to have a good reason though. Child molester, gang issues, there's a hit on you from the last place you stayed, your snitch etc. When you get settled in, the shot caller from your race will approach you. You're told something like this: you have 1 week to get us your paperwork so we can make sure you're not a chomo or have no Rule 35s. If you don't provide this in a week...
What's a Rule 35? I'm gonna look this up.
What do you mean a Rule 35? Hmm?
Like, I know what a chomo is. What is a Rule 35?
According to Federal Criminal Law Center, a Rule 35 motion is filed by a prosecutor and asks a court to reduce a sentence.
So, snitch, pretty much.
Snacks, some soap. Let me know if you need anything. A chomo equals child molester. Rule 35 equals reduced sentence for snitching on someone. So, you show them your paperwork, and if you're clean you're good to go. If you don't show paperwork, or you're not clean, you will be killed within the next week. For some reason, new guys do not take this seriously. They either don't produce their paperwork, or they actually produce it knowing that there's less than desirable stuff on there. What happens to them? Stabbed 27 times all in a matter of seconds. Face head stomped on so hard until it just cracks open and gunk leaks out. Mouth jaw shattered with a pool stick or pool ball. 2 guys killed in about 60 seconds by a tiny Mexican holding just a bocce ball. Native Americans pretend like it's all good. 10 of them go into the sweat lodge for religious reasons. Only 9 come out. 10th guy had a clean gash in his head from a shovel. Cellmate hung the guy with a bedsheet to make it look like suicide. Why do these guys take chances with trying to be in general population? Because a shoe sucks. You're by yourself. No TV. 3 showers a week. No access to things like the prison barber. Limited access to phones. Video visitations. Constant video monitoring to prevent suicide. And every 18 months they ship you to a new prison. If you're looking at 40 years for child rape, that can be a long time to live in those conditions. Sometimes guys will stay in general population knowing that they will get killed simply because they don't want to be there but can't commit suicide in the shoe. I work in a medium security state prison, and the short answer is nothing. Most COs are not allowed access to inmate records, and the ones who are don't usually spread it for fear of doing the paperwork involved with the stabbing. In our facility, inmates who act properly get a room to themselves, and this is by far the biggest deterrent to any misbehaving. Also, the saying here is in prison you can be whoever you want. Many openly lie for fear of retaliation. In the rare case where the info gets out, they will be shunned by groups they don't really affiliate with anyhow. They most often find a level of acceptance with the many religious groups inside. Also in my facility, rape is almost unheard of. The sex there is almost entirely consensual, to the point of evenly distributing the punks amongst the blocks. Almost entirely consensual. How progressive. I was a holdover once and was only locked up for 25 out the 30 days I was given. Since I wasn't threat, I was moved after the first day to a more suitable pod. I remember they didn't let them watch TV or join any activity. Late to the party, but I can shed some honest light on this. 2 things to explain what happens. 1. Generally they are kept out of Gen Pop if at all possible. They are usually put in a SAID unit with other sex offenders or a minimum security area. 2. We are generally under
I found an affluent system.
To reveal what a person is convicted of, especially if it is a sex-related crime. I'm not saying some COs don't let it slip, but it's rare. If an offender wants to tell the other inmates, that is their choice, but sex offenders generally keep their crimes to themselves. It is in fact a HIPAA violation to discuss the crimes of inmates with anyone other than law enforcement personnel or court personnel, and you can be brought up on charges for it and be terminated, sued, or wind up serving time yourself. A side note, as a CO, if there is an inmate confrontation or a beatdown, any kind of violence, it creates a lot of extra work for us. Paperwork, lockdowns, interviews, etc. We are overworked enough. 12-hour shifts for 6 days in a row, and don't tend to cause conflicts that would force us to work even more. I did 6 months in CFCF. Didn't even make it to Gen Pop before 2 big butt mother suckers from the same street found out that some Asian dude was in for touching his niece. This guy, my god, they approached him at lunch and snatched away his tray first, and the bigger of the 2 slapped him so freaking hard it almost hurt me while screaming, "So you like to hurt little girls," followed up by the man who took the tray hitting this little Asian guy with a straight up sucker punch that laid him out flat. After that, I'm pretty sure every inmate on C block stomped his head. COs had pepper spray flying everywhere, and when all was said and done, the pedo was taken to the hospital and the rest of us didn't get dinner because we were locked down for 24 hours. That was only quarantine. The whole thing could have been avoided if there wasn't a giant whiteboard with everyone's name, inmate number, and charges written all over it. If there wasn't a giant whiteboard with everyone's name, inmate number, and charges written all over it. Bulls. There's no way we'll know which of these stories are true, exaggerated, hearsay, or completely false, but goddamn, this topic is still terrifying as heck. I was locked up for a month in Cook County Jail. As soon as we hit the bullpens, people were already talking about who is a child molester. When going to court, the officer would call us up for our date. I looked on the officer's desk and he had spread out all of our court cards. I looked at one guy's and he was in for protective custody. I knew it would not end well for him. Come to find out the guy's brother was killed in front of him and he had a warrant. But someone along the process decided to put him PC with the other inmates. Man, if I ever go to prison, I'm gonna do like Martin Lawrence said to do. Crap in my hand and smear it all over myself so no one messes with me. That would probably get you killed viral though. There was a riot in the Tecumseh, Knee prison earlier this year. They burned one pedophile alive and beat another to death. A buddy of mine did a few years for burglary. He told me about a child molester got beat up.
I found an S-class.
Broom handle until he died.
Good.
Frick.
Can you transfer some units over to me?
I can't actually.
I thought you could.
I'm trying to find that farm. The farm I think got taken out.
Man, because like there's someone transferred some units over to me once. I could have sworn you could do that.
Possible. All they did was give you the Indium or not.
I'm finna just go ahead and like, because this freighter ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
You leave the system, it's gone.
I'm not leaving the system though.
No, hear me out, hear me out. You pulse out, it's gone.
Pulse out?
If you pulse drive out of the area, it's gone.
Oh no. Just kidding.
I'm trying to look for this damn fucking thing and I don't see it. If I find the damn things, I'll give it to you, but I can't fucking find the damn base.
I'm gonna go sell a whole bunch of my indium. Like a lot of it. Like almost everything.
If you have a base computer... Well, actually, let me... Alright, hold on. I'm gonna join your game and then bring my freighter nearby. Let me land real quick. Because I got a shop in my freighter.
It's a dreadnought too, so I'm actually kind of happy about that.
Okay. Options.
Look at that baby.
I'm waiting for your game to pop up. There it goes.
What are you about to do?
Coming over there. I'm about to open my freighter. Wait. No. Just get the freighter real quick. That's the ship. It's a 7 segment, so you're good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm gonna have to sell a lot of my... What does that mean?
It's the biggest dreadnought you can have.
Fucking yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
I got a Venator. That's all I need. Let me go land on it, see what it looks like here.
Nah.
I'm not buying it. I don't need the ship.
Okay. I was about to say, are you
Relax,
kidding me,
I know
man?
What the fuck I'm doing.
That's like the top 10 anime portrayals.
I know what the fuck I'm doing, dude.
No, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. Yeah. Man, where is it? What was I gonna do with that?
Anyways.
B rank. What's a B rank?
The ship.
Which ship?
The one you're trying to buy, it's a B rank.
No, it's a. I think you got on the wrong ship, my man.
I looked at it. Or did you? Or are you talking about the small ass Venator?
Wait 1 second. God, I need something to.
You forget. What, ship classes are client side unless it's exotic or living ship.
Alright, wait once. Hold up, man. Come on, man. I need more.
Hold up, nothing. For me, it's B rank. For you, it'll be S rank. I'm just saying though, it's client side. What client side means is Each person sees an individual rank or nature of the same ship.
I need more units because I've already crashed the market for the thing I sell.
There's nothing I can do here. And you're supposed to sell to the people who come in on the ships.
What, do they have like infinite money?
You crash the market if you sell it to the people who come in ships, basically.
No damn way. Phineas? I mean Fred? I know Phineas, I mean Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. You know Ferb is like a real like
watch that.
You've never watched Phineas and Ferb, man? I mean,
if you're gonna buy the thing, go and buy it now.
That's what I'm doing, man. Ferb, I don't know what we're gonna do today. 15. I need like at least 200,000.
Who the fuck is Mr. Slim?
I don't know.
This has to be Euclid.
It is a Euclid. Well, I actually don't think the hub is in the Euclid galaxy. But
this is Euclid.
Could be.
It is.
Okay.
Pavement.
This is gonna take forever, dude. Selling all this stuff.
Just crash it. Just hurry up, because I'm literally standing here by the ship so it doesn't disappear.
Okay. I mean, I have to get 200, and I'm selling all this indium for like 15 a pop.
What do you mean?
15 mil.
Okay, sell the whole batch to the pilots.
It's all in my storage systems though. Can't do that.
What do you mean your storage systems?
Like stuff, so I have to manually take it out of my storage to give it to the people.
You talking about in the boxes in your freighter?
Yeah.
Why don't you put it in the freighter's general storage so you can basically sell it there?
Because that is currently occupied.
What? With what?
With random shit that I need to either sell or delete.
Well, start doing it. It makes things much easier.
I know, young one.
Yeah, look at that. I'll make jellies. I can sell.
Someone join our solar system?
It's only me and you.
Okay, good. I'm close. Extremely close. I just need one more batch of indium. And you're right, the NPCs do not sell out. They don't scam me out of my cash.
I know that. I have plenty of time invested in this game.
Trying to do. Interloper. They always call me an interloper. Do I really interlope into their plans? I don't think so.
Come over here and buy the damn ship.
Hold up now. I'm coming. One more batch, and I'll be done.
I'm really getting tempted just to shoot this ship right now.
Please do not shoot this ship. That would be pure evil. What?
I went Viking. You're lucky.
Viking.
If it was Gek, I would have easily destroyed it immediately.
Who the hell likes the Gek anyway? I mean, I'm on friendly terms with them, so I'd be pretty mad at you. Because we're on the same team, and that same like stuff would go on me.
Better hurry up! I'm being hospital scanned.
Of course, I'm coming.
I'll comply.
I am here.
I paid them off.
You paid them off?
Yes.
Okay.
I got 1.7 billion. I got 1,758,224,757 credits.
I just destroy them. Kill. Instantly.
Yeah, I would do that normally, but if I was to fight around here, there's a chance of me hitting your precious little freighter.
Me precious.
You forget, I'm not here to... my guns are not here to fucking keep things alive. They're here to destroy things.
I like to destroy too. Me precious.
And the freighter so that we can go.
Now you Viking interloper. Pathetic interloper. You 178 compare.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, okay. Ah, wait. I wonder, can I transfer items?
Yes, you can transfer all the items to the next
Okay,
storage.
good. Ammonia, salt, that, and all my decrypted pod. And what I want to do.
Did you buy the damn thing already?
I mean, if you want to leave, you can.
I'm asking if you bought it, that's all.
Request payment instead. What a funny.
You won't be able to buy it.
I mean, I will, but it won't be at a discount. I'm finna dismantle all my technology modules so that I won't have to go out of my way to get all of it.
I'm gonna run circles around this damn thing then.
Oh man.
Oh boy, shit.
It just gave me a hypercore.
I got warp hypercores. I got
Hey!
17 of them.
Freighter out of range.
That's why you put an item teleporter on your freighter.
Oh yeah, I had it, but I accidentally dismantled it. Forget it all. I'll just put all the rest of my stuff on here. And then I'll forget about it.
So you bought the freighter already?
About to.
Yep. I'm watching your other freighter to see when it disappears.
It's mine.
Gone. I was just watching it. Alright.
It's painful having to build all this back. Do you have any like materials that you can lend me, like cadmium?
No, I don't collect cadmium. And if I do, I use it for my bases.
I can actually.
I'm building farms in my freighters.
I just did my matter beam. I need emerald. You got any like indium, like just regular old indium?
Nope. That's where my farm's again.
Shit. Well,
I gotta listen to some Death Parade music in a second.
I think it's time for me to go hit the old dusty trail, going to find some of that good old.
You know, come check out my base real quick, though. You heard?
What?
Come check out my base real quick. Where is it? Yeah, maybe we'll listen to some Death Parade. Hold on.
An augmentation for Colossal Hyperdrive engine of an Interstellar. What are you watching?
It's an opening to an anime I watched called Death Parade. Unique but dark undertones to the anime. Basically, basically the whole anime is taking place in a thing between Limbo, basically.
Limbo is not a very fun place to be.
Yeah, but hear me out. Basically, it's like that group that goes to Limbo, like everyone that dies, is basically being judged at Limbo to if they'll be sent to either reincarnation, to heaven, or hell.
Okay.
They introduce a lot of different characters that have died, but they don't tell you until the very end what they did. And then you see some of them go to hell, repeat the mistakes that they did in life, and then go back to go to hell after that.
Well, that does sound like hell.
Anyways, go to the what you call it? Go to the
Honestly, I just want to go look for materials, man. I can go ahead and get my stuff up. My warp drives and whatnot. I need to get those up.
So I might as well just leave the game if you're not gonna come around.
I mean, what star is your system around?
I'm in Eisentom. Yellow star system. You need indium, you said?
I need indium, cadmium, and emerald.
I asked you about the indium. You need the indium, you said, right?
Not activated indium, but just regular old indium.
Dude, if I was telling you about activated, I would have said activated. Do you need indium?
Just, yeah, regular indium, yes.
Well, get your goddamn keys over here.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, that's what I was finna do. I'm going in the anomaly right now.
Well, I should call it the Nexus. That's what it is.
You know, the SCP Foundation would be all over this. It literally has the name Anomaly.
Dude, go check. Do me a favor, if you don't mind me asking. Go check out the Vogun's channel. Trust me, you will like his SCP videos.
Huh. Wait, it didn't do the thing.
What do you mean?
It didn't like be like, do you want to travel to your friend's base?
You gotta do it again. You have to leave and rejoin. Get it back in that place again.
That's
bugs out like that sometimes.
Well, I didn't get out of my vehicle.
No, you don't have to get out the vehicle. I said you have to come in and then get out.
Guys beat damn near to death. Choke out the shampoo bottles, shove in their asses. I have seen them kept on the block for days to be starved and extorted, and I also work in the kitchen where when the trays for PC. Protective custody. We're made we and guards spit on them, threw the crap on the floor, pretty much anything you can imagine. A few places weren't as harsh because it was short timers.
I'm in one of those rush plants if you like so much.
Security, the worse they get it, but now days they pretty much get their own prisons, so they aren't assaulted and killed. 99.99% of the time, nothing at all. Most of the replies in this thread are bulls. First of all, your question specifically refers to prison, not jail, which a lot of people are relating experiences from. The terms may seem interchangeable, but the difference is huge. You go to jail if you are sentenced to 365.
You ever heard of the game called God Eater?
God Eater? Nah.
Days of incarceration or are awaiting trial and unable to make bail. jails are relatively small, often attached to the county courthouse and located in your hometown. In jail, you don't have a chance to interact with sex offenders. They wear different colored jumpsuits, red versus the standard green in my state, and are housed in a completely separate floor unit. The only chance you have to interact with them is in court. To cut down on time, court chains are thrown together with everyone awaiting arraignment or sentencing handcuffed together sitting in
Oh, I like that planet.
their turn. But again, here nothing happens for two reasons. One,
well, it's my planet now. I, Darkseid, have come and commandeered this planet. I will throw a hell spore on it and terraform it into New Apocalypse. God, this planet is beautiful, though.
Medical segregation.
I can call all these guys here.
I might build me a base here. Beautiful.
So unless you've seen
but if the name of the base is inappropriate, I'm gonna report it in an instant.
I mean, what really would they do to me, though?
The story that
when I report it, your
as he
base
was
disappears
explaining what happens to guys like
planet.
that in prison.
I'm what?
Due to every
No, it happens to everybody else that bases are reported.
So if you report it and they think that it's not acceptable, they freaking
No, not that it's not acceptable. If the name is inappropriate, they basically will delete the base.
Damn.
I've seen it happen to a couple of people that call the base some real fucked up
Man,
names.
I thought your base was near that grassy planet with the rings. A humid planet. This better be a jungle, my man.
Thought was kind of strange.
It actually is. Take a look and you'll see.
I'm pulsing there now.
From there, my brother and his buddies told him we can't associate with you anymore. Don't talk to us. Don't look at us. Any money put on your books is now ours, or else we'll beat your butt. Spent almost 20 years in prison in various stages of
Damn pirates!
a while ago, so I'll.
This is what happens when you engage with me.
My brother has told me some of this. He did 2 years, I think, in state.
Ah, there's like 5 of them.
I remember, as he was explaining what happens to guys like that in prison, there was a new dude who everyone thought was kind of strange, but people mostly left him alone, until they found out he was in for a sex offense. From there, my brother and his buddies told him we can't associate with you anymore. Don't talk to us. Don't look at us. Any money put on your books is now ours, or else we'll beat your butt. Spent almost 20 years in prison in various stages of confinement. I did an AMA a while ago, so I'll say it again. If any of you think the Chomas and Pettis are getting fricked up or raped or pimped, you are sadly mistaken. Peace. I always thought they would just end up in solitary because it was too much trouble for them to be in the general population. I did some time at an FMC, Federal Medical Center, for one count of possession of CP. There was a very large population of people there with similar charges. There was a program they called SOM, Sex Offender Management Program. There were molesters, people who may have been caught on to catch a predator, tempted into thinking they were meeting an underage girl, and people like me who got caught with child P. As it was a federal medical center, we also population of people there with similar charges. There was a program they called SOMP, Sex Offender Management Program. There were molesters, people who may have been caught on to catch a predator, tempted into thinking they were meeting an underage girl, and people like me who got caught with child.
Yo, you got caught with what?
Medical center. We also had aging mafioso, drug dealers on dialysis, etc.
What?
My heart just skipped a beat. Give me a second.
Why?
No. Legit. I got a irregular heartbeat, basically. At any given time, my heart literally stops and then starts up again.
Is that when that like random like chest pain happens and you breathe in?
No,
and
it's like not chest pain. It's basically what it feels like. Is like it feels like you've been running for a while, basically, when your heart stops and then starts again.
Oh, okay. Why is your name Arion Scourge?
Arion Scourge, that means I was killing nothing but Sentinels until I got all the titles.
I kind of wish like the planets looked a little different. No, they had more like grass and taller trees.
Jump, land on the landing pad of my base.
What landing pad?
There's all landing pads there.
You know what I see? I see wood.
Yeah,
Oh, these are improvised.
Yes.
Okay.
Mix was about 50-50
now, where are you at?
as much as I could tell.
Right here.
I did about 12.
Now, go tell me the totals you need for your stuff.
Okay. Let's see. So what I need for the temporal warp computer. Oh my god! My game crashed, of course.